I have trouble with being on time to things. And actually, just this. I'm actually early to That's the real problem, is that I can't be early. I can't be like really early. For most things, I get there early. Good morning. Boomer's here. Boomer is here. Boomer is here. I got to get a new computer. I have a MacBook, but for some of the streaming stuff, and especially TikTok Studio, for whatever reason, like they're not going to do a Mac version, or they don't have a Mac version. So I'm currently terrified that I'm going to have to learn something new, which is not exciting. I don't think I've used a Windows product since maybe, dude, I don't even know, since college, probably. Denver's here. Papa Henry in the house. How are you, Papa Henry? Good morning. Real host will be here soon, I assume. I spoke to her this morning. It sounds like there were some fireworks this weekend. I took the weekend off of TikTok and mostly off of my cell phone. It was wonderful. But it sounds like there were some fireworks that happened this weekend. Daddy, that's me. That's right, Ash's Babbitt. Ash's Babbitt gets me every time. It's me. Good morning, host. I don't know if
Hi.
I can hear you first try.
I know, it must be lucky us, finally. Some good news. What a crazy morning.
I was trying to read the Supreme Court decision, and I gave up. I just decided it's not skimmable. I like when the decisions are a little more skimmable, like they'll show you the meat, and you can, like, clearly it's outlined, but this was just like one big run-on document. It was devastating.
They always write them like that. You mean it looks like it comes from like a small book or something? That's what annoys me about Supreme Court decisions. It's like, can you just take up the whole page? Like, what?
Yeah. Why does everything have to be formatted like a footnote? Like, literally, everything is.
The page is like this big, and it's like, here, we're gonna write in this little box. But it's short. Yeah, I'll read it today. I couldn't like retain any more information this morning, but. I was. Were you listening
not like
to
it was surprising,
MSNBC?
right?
Yeah, no. I think that was when we watched those oral arguments on the show. I don't think I've ever seen oral arguments that were like that. Like where the lawyers were not doing a good job, but the justices were like, "Here, I'll make your argument for you because we've already decided what we will be ruling." Yeah, I think.
Whoa.
It's so strange to hear those noises. I was like, what is happening? Oh yeah, let's before we get into this, guy. Yeah, so CoinCon is over. We do have gifts back on. We are accepting any donations you want to give us also, and we will as well periodically throughout the show be reading any funny messages we get, like the F Mary Banish or the funny dad jokes that I've been enjoying so much. So again, gifts are on, but also we are accepting any donations as well because we get to keep 100% of those versus, like we talked about with CoinCon, the large percentage that is taken by TikTok.
Perfectly said. Yeah. We understand that a lot of you have gifts through TikTok, and a lot of times those are recycled between people. I like having gifts so that when I'm on other people's lives, I can send some gifts as well. But if you're looking to just support the show financially, gifts are obviously through Venmo and Cash App. That 100% of that again goes to what we're doing. So we've got some cool plans in the coming months, and I think we'll probably have some announcements. I'd imagine later this week. Felice, do you think?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we'll talk. Sure. Yeah, we'll talk tonight if you want. No, for real. We just need to have a good conversation. But I was going to say what we should announce now is just your debate on Wednesday again, March 6th at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Right, so 6.
Correct.
Jay is debating Mother of Dragons, so that should be a great debate.
We're going to do. I'll have a Discord call with Maud and then Jesse, who is I want to say. I can't remember now I want to say Booga Sugar, but I don't know if that's it. That might not be right. That's
is that else. The modern? Yeah.
Boogagoon, I think. Yeah. Look, for all of you guys, here's why I want to do this. I'm just going to be really transparent on this. Yeah. I do think that I think that Maud is smart. I also think that Maud and her crew, what they do is they focus entirely on shit that like doesn't matter, right? Or like obscure facts to cases, and the whole goal, my opinion, I believe that their goal is to win arguments each time, right? And make the other person feel like they don't know something. What's been interesting to me in debating, I haven't debated Maud that often. It seems to be the times I've actually gone on their platform, Maud, she keeps her live up for like 6 or 7 hours, and she's working or she's doing other things. So a lot of the times she hasn't been up there. But what's interesting is that if you get into like the minutia of the Georgia case, they'll know a lot. But if you just talk to them about what's actually happening, like things that are actually happening in our country, actual policies, no clue. And so that's kind of my goal going into that debate, is that we can have a discussion about real things. So we'll see how that goes. I think Jesse will do a good job moderating, but that's the idea.
Is it going to be just like a discussion, or are there any formats like, like 2 minutes here, 2 minutes there, or you haven't decided?
What I'm going to ask for is I'm going to ask for, if we want it to be formatted, I want to allow interruptions for clarifying questions. Like the one thing I hate in these debates is when it's formatted like that, somebody will run on for 10 minutes. And if the beginning of their statement, or any part of their statement, if you need to ask a clarifying question, I like stopping. Otherwise, then when you give your rebuttal, they're like, that's not what I said, and you got nowhere. So if we do have structured segments like that, my goal is that we will be allowed to interrupt. I would rather have a free-flowing conversation, and I think Jesse, he's done it before for me, because it's 6-on-1 when you're in there. He does a good job of stepping in and trying to like get people on the same page. So I think he'll do a good job.
No, yeah. And I think, like, I think, like, those debates, like, the really, like, when I watch, like, Richard Wolff debate, like, an ethical capitalist, it's like, then it's, okay, I get it. Like, 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. These are very intelligent people, like, who are agreeing, on most of the facts. So it kind of makes sense. But I agree. I prefer if it's more of, like, a discussion as well. As exciting. I think this is super exciting. Hopefully we could get to a point where you do this like once a week, or
that's the idea. That's the idea. We can get some people that aren't so afraid to debate. Would be good. For those asking, there we go. Not tomorrow, Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and then we'll post that on our YouTube after. So for some reason you can't make it, it'll be on the YouTube as well. But Felice, heavy news week this weekend, sort of.
Yeah.
I think the big story,
a lot of news, but all the same, right? Like, but nothing changed.
Yeah. I think the main story, and you may disagree with this. This might be a good place to start. I thought Meidas was unfair to Trump this weekend. And I don't think unfair because he wasn't just making mistake after mistake and like saying words that weren't words and like just mumbling sounds together as if they were actual sentences. What bothered me about Meidas's coverage this weekend is they didn't play a lot of them like in full context. I actually thought the fact that they clipped it into just the little segments made it like not as convincing. I went back and I watched full segments of what they had clipped, and it's more convincing because you can watch Trump go from like cognitively there to like where the fuck are you?
I always debate, like, that's always my debate. Like, if you're ever wondering why there's so many clips on our outlines, it is because of that. Like, I know what you're saying. Like, sometimes I think, and I have in the past, like, put them together like that in like a reel. But I know what you're saying. It's like lost. It's sometimes when you don't have like full context. And the other thing was, yeah, I understand. I think the idea or the theory behind what they're doing. Like, Trump has made a misstep, I think is fair to say. And that misstep is like deciding to push that Biden has dementia or whatever, cognitive issues, whatever the issue is with that. When this man, for whatever reason himself, is clearly struggling to complete even one speech. So I think that they're trying to highlight that fact and say like, okay, if you want to, you are trying to disparage someone for the same thing you're guilty of. But I think, yeah, what is more disturbing in his speeches is the bigotry, it's the racism, it's the stuff that they're not highlighting because they're so focused on he got a word wrong. Are you on mute? I can't hear you. Can you guys hear? I can't hear you.
I was muted.
Okay.
I was muted. Damn. Do you want to go clips? Start with the clips first or stories?
Yeah. What did you say back to what I said? I don't know what you said.
That's basically what I said. I said, yeah. Let's jump right into it. Should we go clips first or stories? I think is what I said. Stop calling me boomer. I just need to not touch the mute.
Guys, tap the screen. Let's keep tapping the screen throughout the live. Let's get to 20K right now. And again, any Republicans, if you want to come up, talk about the SCOTUS stuff or anything, we are open. Why are you voting for Donald Trump? A great question. So, and now we know he'll be on the ballot. Even more of a valid question. I mean, I doubt any of us ever really doubted it, but
actually,
yeah,
real quick. I actually did want to touch on that, but I don't think we'll go much into it. But I think that this ruling and just the parts that I read, again, I'm not all the way through it. I think that what we do know for sure is there is a hole. And there's we need to be able to fix this. Essentially, the ruling was saying that the states don't have the right to take presidential candidates off of their ballots. That's like a right held by the federal government, so it's their choice. But that power seems to rest in Congress. So for all the Republicans out there that are saying like Vivek tweeted out this morning, he's like, this was a great ruling by the Supreme Court. This should be in the hands of the people. Well, that's not what the Supreme Court ruled. The Supreme Court ruled that this should be in the hands of Congress. That's what the ruling says.
Yeah, it's absolutely that's essentially what this is about. It's a unanimous decision, right? But the part that they're not all agreeing on the same stuff, but what they are agreeing on is that when we're in the case of a federal election, right, an individual state does not have the right to determine who can be on the ballot. And so, yeah, I thought another interesting part that the three progressives that wrote their opinion, like Amy Coney Barrett actually wrote a separate opinion, because in the when you hear the progressives' opinion, it looks like they're using the same logic along the lines of what happened with the Dobbs decision. Like they're saying the Supreme Court should not be making rulings for the sake of rulings or because we shouldn't be adjudicating, right? Like less is more. This is for the Congress to bring legislation, to invoke Article 3 through legislation, right? Like it's not our job. We're not going to touch it. And they sort of drew that to the overturning of Roe v. Wade in the Dobbs decision and saying that's an overreach. And we're saying we don't want this to be an overreach as well. And Coney Barrett can't argue that because she was part of the Dobbs decision or agrees with it. So she had to stray away from them, right? But yeah, that's the progressive opinion is saying the Supreme Court's doing way too much. We did way too much with Dobbs, and we can't do way too much here. But one state cannot decide who can be on the ballot in a federal election. I think
the weird thing about that, though, is every state has different laws regarding how to get access to the ballot, right? So if they don't have the ability to remove somebody from the ballot, do they have the authority to set different rules for ballot access? I think that that's the next. I think logically somebody's going to challenge that next when they don't get ballot access, because every state has different rules for how to get on the ballot. So it's a weird thing, especially considering these were primaries, right? This was considering, first of all, the primary ballot in Colorado. It was a case brought by Republicans. If Republicans in Colorado don't have the right to remove a Republican from the ballot, then is everybody just on the ballot? And that's fine too. Maybe we need to open that up. Maybe it's too restrictive. But if I'm a progressive specifically, or if I'm somebody who advocates for a third party or ranked choice voting, this may be a step in the right direction of saying states who have long used their party to keep people off the ballot, maybe they don't have that right. Maybe they don't. Maybe they're not allowed to do that.
And I think, that it's a good point, but and again, we need to read this again, but it seems to me like they are saying in the case specifically of for Section 3, the 14th Amendment, Section 3, right? This is in the hands of Congress. And that is another question that will probably come up then. Like, is this specifically just about 14 Section 3, which it seems like to me it is, right? And then maybe other stuff like if someone's too old or whatever, like maybe that's different to them. But it seems like in this case, they're saying Congress has to legislate 14th Amendment, Section 3.
Right, which
is
requires
scary.
a 2/3 vote, right? Like,
yeah,
that if you're going to remove somebody, it is scary. But ultimately, I think after we heard the arguments, it was pretty obvious this is what was going to happen. There wasn't a single,
sure, no surprise,
like left-leaning judge that gave any indication that these were solid arguments. So for those on the left, like I don't think we should view this as a loss. I think it just goes to show that at least now we have some clarification. So if we want to shore up that rule, we may need to add some wording, some new legislation on what can disqualify you from the ballot. Because obviously you can be disqualified for the ballot by age or birthplace. There's rules.
Yeah,
there's
and
ways
this
to be
I read
disqualified.
it. So this is not about those things, though. Yeah, this is just about the 14th Amendment, Section 3, and then going forward, how Congress, they need to draw up legislation about how that looks going through Congress. And I guess we shall see. But you're very right in saying, like, this is not a loss. Like, one of the things I was listening to Neil Katyal say, who is the former Solicitor General for Obama, I believe, he was saying that, this isn't a ruling on whether or not Trump was is an insurrectionist, right? Like, this is not a win for Trump. It's not the Supreme Court saying Trump's not an insurrectionist. They're just saying, like, technically, it's not for a state to stop someone from being in a federal election. So it's Congress in the case of the Section 3.
Yeah, so exactly what you're saying, I think, and Mo wanted to correct what I said, which is correct. They do have the ability to remove people from a ballot. It's for insurrection. For this specific instance, they can't be removed. So you were right, as usual, and so was Mo. So thanks for correcting me.
Oh, so do we want to start on the speeches then?
North Carolina, come on and raise up.
North Carolina. Yeah, Trump gave a speech in North Carolina, which was actually, I have some funny things I want to play. I'll just make some kind of, not funny points, but, things that did happen.
That's mostly what you can say about the Trump North Carolina visit, is that it happened. It really
funny,
did happen. And
terrifying, however you want to look at these things.
Yeah.
Like, whatever.
When you hear what he's saying, it's like, oh, that happened.
Well, I just wanted to play real quick. These are people outside. So I'm just going to play just 3 clips of people outside because it's interesting, like the hostility. Like, we got like men, a woman, a man, and a child, right? Like,
it's the start of a riddle. But it's just all one person.
The man is just furious. The man is just furious. It's really interesting. Marjorine's boyfriend, right, who's an executive for Right Side Broadcasting Network, it's almost like he's like teaching somebody else how to do what he used to do because it's not his job anymore. So This guy is like, he's walking alongside this younger kid who's like sticking microphones in people's faces. And like he sticks the microphone in this man's face who, just snapped. It's hilarious. I mean, it's not hilarious, but it's just interesting. Like,
I was thinking about
this happen.
How, like, with the whatever, what are the good? What are they called? Good.
Right Side? Are you talking?
No, sorry. Those people like Luke Beasley. They go out and they interview all these MAGA folks.
The good guys.
Those interviews are crazy, but it's almost more crazy when a friendly interviews these people because they don't feel challenged and they don't feel restricted, like they're not watching their words. So it was wild to see like conservatives basically doing the same thing and just seeing how like unchecked people go, or I guess how unchecked their rhetoric goes.
I'm scared. It's hilarious. Okay, here we go.
For coming out here. Thank you for, watching Right Side. We appreciate that. But what is it about President Trump that you need back in our society right now?
He's a man with morals. He stands for what he means, and he means what he says. And that's exactly what's gotten America into the situation that we're in. People make promises and they don't keep them. That's no good for anybody.
Yeah. Tell me 3 things you love about him.
Yeah.
Get that microphone out of my face, buddy. I don't like the microphone shoved in my face. Okay. Oh, good. Oh, good. Hey, we're glad you're...
So what happens there is like this guy just shoves this younger kid shoves a microphone in this man's face in line, and immediately the guy, I mean, you could just see it turn dark. Like this guy was like, "Get that microphone out of my face!" And like Brian Glenn's like trying to drag the kid away from this man. Who's now decided to fight him. And then this one I just want to play because I think it's sad. Listen, I always think it's sad when parents have their children in line at these rallies, you know, and to say things that
Can you believe? Well, just real quick, can we just stop for a second to say that like we ask Trump supporters all the time. We're asking today, why are you voting for Donald Trump? I didn't expect like morals to be anybody's answer. Everybody knows he has no morals. Like they've all been taught to pretend they don't care about morals, right? Like, oh yeah, well he doesn't have great morals, but he's a good president. And then this person's like, his morals, that's what I'm voting on. Think about that for a second. If you like Donald Trump's morals, what are you voting on? You're voting for tax evasion. You're voting for repeatedly cheating on your wife. Your
sexual abuse.
Yeah, SA, slander, right? Like. Morals is the last answer I expected anybody to throw out there.
Some of these people are deep in, you know, they're
We're glad you do. Yes, sir.
Let's put Fanny and Nikki in jail.
Okay.
And okay, like I can't tell you how many times I watch these pre-Trump rally tailgates, whatever you want to call them, and like you can just see the parent. And I said this, like when I was a teacher and I was teaching second grade, if a child said the N-word or said something bigoted, I was never like, oh, this child was born with hate in their heart and there's no helping them. I would know, like, okay, this child heard this at home and that's where they got it. And to watch this kid whose family's like, yeah, good job, you know what I mean? To go disparage like two women, you know, misogynistically say to jail them. Like why does Nikki Haley need to be in jail? It's and then to run back to his parents and be like, great job. You know what I mean? It's just sad.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, the child doesn't even know who these people are. Exactly. Thank you.
But that one just made me sad. It just
So sad.
it reminded me of my childhood, of the things we were taught to say, the way we were taught to testify. And as a kid, like when you say something and adults recognize that, like an adults acknowledge that, it's almost bigger, right? It means more. You feel like, oh, I get it too. But like he's talking about, I think Nikki Haley.
Yeah, Nikki Haley and Fani.
He wants Nikki Haley in jail. Who Nikki Haley, in all fair, like even if you wanted to believe the worst about Fani Willis, you might be able to say like she committed some ethics violations. But like Nikki Haley, what should she be in jail for? These people are just teaching their children that all opposition to Trump needs to be jailed. So knowing that those people are out there, knowing how prevalent they are we really like what do you think happens if Trump happens to be a fascist? You think any of these people are going to stand in the way of jailing somebody like Fani Willis? Absolutely not. They'll go along with the same thing. And that's what made me sad, is that we're at a point now where anybody that disagrees or is seen as a threat to Donald Trump should be jailed. They're a traitor to the country. They hate America. They're, for some reason, communists.
Scary for us.
Yeah. Exactly. Look, if Donald, let's just say Project 2025 gets pushed, instilled, right? Donald Trump wins, Project 2025 is underway. Do you guys, I'm not doing this anymore. There's no way. Like you can't be
We're already
outspoken.
dissidents, yeah.
You can't be outspoken against a fascist regime in this way. Like I'm not putting my family in jeopardy that way. Like these are real people, just regular everyday Americans ready to jail anybody who doesn't like Donald Trump, anybody who stands in the way.
Yeah, and they would never even like. That's the scariest thing about this cult is how they're indoctrinated, like to never question. Like, is there a line? Is there anyone that you guys would not allow Trump to put in jail because they hurt his feelings? Like, would there be a point where you'd be like, "Hey, we've put too many people in jail," or no? So
it's always going to be not enough. It's always going to be not enough for him.
Yeah,
and we'll see.
For sure.
We'll see more of that as this goes on. Of how he, there's just more people that he hates now.
There's always more. Okay, this is so. Also, we have to point out the irony of, every time we talk to people, I talk to people from the far right, they're always saying they're patriots and we're not patriots, and we had to start saying the Pledge of Allegiance and the national anthem like before congressional sessions began, once they took control of the 118th Congress. And then this weekend on Saturday, they could not remember the Pledge of Allegiance nor the national anthem at Trump rallies. Like, these people don't know the words. They swear that this is what makes you a patriot, right? They said it was un-American that liberals don't find it necessary to say the Pledge of Allegiance. But these people don't even know. The person instructed to lead it couldn't get it right. The person singing the national anthem doesn't know the words. It's just the irony.
I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which is
I'm sorry. And then you just hear someone yelling, America.
Guy yell at the end?
Yeah, no,
just
he's
America?
just like, America. Yeah, just like in the background.
It reminds me when I was still a Mormon missionary, like I was always really critical of the Christian churches, like just the non-denominational Christian churches. Obviously, like looking back, it was jealousy. But I was like, they don't have to do shit. Like you literally live your life, do whatever you want, and show up on Sunday, put your hands in the air, accept Christ as your savior, and you're good. Like that's who MAGA is. It's all about like wholesale endorsing something. It does not matter if you understand it or not. If you wholesale endorse something, you are going to be praised. You are going to be held up. People will accept you. They don't care if you don't know. And that's a weird place to be in. Like when you start leaving cults and you start looking out across all the people that you interact with and realize that none of them actually know anything, or most of them don't. They're just there like regurgitating what they've heard. And if you ask them a single question about anything specific, they don't know. That's where this part of MAGA is the scariest. This is something that we haven't seen in my lifetime in this country, is a bunch of people wholesale endorsing like conspiracy theories without having any grasp on what's actually happening in our country. Like just the realities of what's actually happening in our country. They don't have any fucking idea, but they can tell you, and it goes back to the debate we're going to have on Wednesday. They can tell you all about what Fani Willis did with her money. They can tell you all about why they think somebody in the Fani Willis case was lying, and they'll provide examples. But then you ask them about bills that are being passed. You ask them about Project 2025. You ask them about what was in the border bill that Republicans put up. What was in the border bill they rejected? No idea. But they can tell you all about how Fani Willis should be in jail.
I'm so excited for your debate on Wednesday. Sorry, again, that's what Jay was referring to. On Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard, Jay's debating against Mother of Dragons, so make sure to check it out. And, okay, let's start playing the clips. Please tap the screen. Let's try to get to 50K. So I'm going to skip. Okay, so first I'm going to skip 88 because, again, Trump has really excited about his Gavin Newsom thing. Like, it's just
really proud of that.
Like,
really proud.
Like, I've never seen him really. He's so proud of that. Like, he really thinks he made a funny on there. Like, every chance he gets, he's like, Gavin Newsom, do you guys get it? He like looks around and everyone's like, yeah.
Yeah, this is a guy who loves to criticize Gavin Newsom while his son is getting the worst version of Gavin Newsom's ex-wife. Like, I like that. You can imagine that Don Jr. regularly gets shit from the former president about the fact that he is not even married. They're not married, right? Guilfoyle and Trump Jr.?
No, she's
No.
she's 7 years, like 5 or 6 years without a ring. So going on 7 or something.
Yeah, but daddy doesn't let Junior forget about that.
Well, after I heard that what they've done to Lara, and she's definitely like the more palatable of the two. So yeah, it sounds like a very hard family to marry into. They have to ridicule you relentlessly for years, like right until you're near a nervous breakdown, and they've like broken you down to nothing, and then they're like, okay, like now you can join the family. That seems like what the story is.
But literally the story of Don Jr. That's his life.
Yeah,
he like
exactly.
tried to get away from the family, and then when it didn't work out, he had to come crawling back and then just be his dad's whipping post for the rest of his life.
And I totally agree with you. I think when we go through this speech, just think of the bigotry. That's really what the story is. It's less about, okay, Trump's like muttering, forgetting words, sweating. It looks like he needs help. But like, that's not the point. It's what he's saying that is so terrifying.
Will repeat your.
Oh, that's what. Sorry, I don't want to play that one. That's the. Sorry.
When I'm president, instead of trying to send Texas a restraining order, I will send them reinforcements.
Okay, again, so that's against the Constitution.
Yeah,
Right
but again,
there.
but
First
he's
statement.
gonna be a dictator. So in order for him to do that, he'd have to be a dictator. So if he's not planning on doing this day one, well, then I guess he's going to be a dictator longer than just one day.
Yeah, exactly, because that's going to take much longer.
You ever notice that they go after the people that want to find out where the cheating was? And by the way, 82% of the country understands that it was a rigged election, okay?
What?
You can't have a country with that.
Where's that number
Came
come
out
from?
82%, but they go after the people. They don't go after the people that rigged the election. They go after the people.
The math is not mathin'. Like,
Where did he get that number, do you think?
I tried to just like Google, like, I don't know, but he just threw, I mean, he really was like just saying things. Like he was just saying words. Do I think he made it up? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, the only numbers I can find on that is it says like a third. A third of
82%,
Americans.
then Biden wouldn't be president. Think how close that race was. Like, of course, it's not 82%. Doesn't make any sense.
So here's where I
Missed
think
that
this is
exit
where
poll.
I think this is actually where it comes from. I think I found it. So this is from the Bipartisan Policy Center. I know nothing about them, but as the 2024 election heats up, a new BPC poll conducted by Morning Consult finds that 4 in 5, 82% of voters, including equal percentages from both parties, are worried about the state of America's democracy.
Okay, so that's not, it's not that they think the election was stolen from him?
No, I assume this
Okay.
is where he got that number, that they're concerned about the state of America's democracy, which, by the way, is crazy because only one of the two parties is openly campaigning on ending democracy, like flat out ending democracy. I don't know if any of you saw a video I put out this weekend, Lil White Privilege, like saying that now it's a psyop to say that Project 2025 is an attack on democracy to replace it with Christian nationalism is a psyop, despite the fact that like at CPAC they're talking about that. Only one party openly saying, "Hey, we'd like to do away with democracy." You can't find quotes from anybody on the left that's in office saying like we want to end democracy, but you can find a lot of quotes from Republicans saying or at least alluding to the idea that they would like to undo democracy.
Yeah, for sure. So 84. I'm just gonna play this clip, and if I think I'll just pause it. This is really trigger warning.
In Texas a few weeks ago, another illegal alien animal was charged with sadistically murdering a 16-year-old Texas high school cheerleader. Beautiful young woman, stabbing her to death in her home, dumping her body in the bathtub to be discovered 2 hours later by her mother. And last Sunday in Louisiana, a savage Biden migrant criminal was charged for raping a 14-year-old girl by holding a knife to her throat.
Okay, I think we're good there, but like,
I mean, it's just so sick.
yeah,
How
it really is.
These
using them as
both
pawns.
of these events are horrific. right? Yeah. Both of them, and both of them leaving family behind, and I can't imagine having to deal with that as the family. But when you look at these horrific events, and your knee-jerk reaction is to make a political point, then I have the same problem with people who immediately, like on the left, if you immediately jump to making a political point. But the way that then he talks about immigrants, on the first one, he said another illegal migrant, what did he call animal? Right? Yeah. I think he said alien, huh? Illegal,
no, he said animal. No, he said animal. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, but I think he said illegal alien animal. Yeah. Something either way, it doesn't matter.
Definitely said animal.
They're not saying they're not doing this because they care about these people. Why are you including Joe Biden's name? Again, only one of these people, between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, only one of them is advocating we don't do a goddamn thing about the border. Just Joe Biden.
Yeah, one of them blocked funding and changes to federal immigration laws that essentially would have closed the border. One person did.
Joe Biden publicly said, Donald Trump, I will meet you where you are or meet me where I am, and let's figure this out together. One side is openly saying, hey, look, I don't like you and I'll work with you. Like, let's get this shit done. And the other side is now trying to say that all of these crimes are happening because Joe Biden wants this to happen. It's disgusting. For the life of me, I can't figure out how the fuck you people still support this guy. I don't understand. Like, his lack of humanity by itself is disqualifying. It should be disqualifying. I don't get how people are in this crowd hearing this. Like, I've lived in North Carolina, I've lived in South Carolina. Like, there's bad people everywhere, but these are people who have just been co-opted into now what's a disgusting racist fascist movement, and they have no idea. Because it's all fear, it's all meant to scare them, and they think, oh well, in tough times we need to be tough. That's not what this is about. This isn't a war. This isn't tough times. This isn't having to choose between your family and somebody else's family. We've looked at the data already. We know who's committing more crimes. We know what we can do about the border. We know what's being advocated to be done about the border, and yet here we are. A week later, Donald Trump's still advocating to do nothing about the border, and instead he's just going to stand on the graves of these two young people who tragically lost their life, and he's just up there grandstanding on there, and people are cheering and applauding. Let's remember, two people lost their life, and you're going to go out to a rally. Did you say their name? I didn't hear any names. Does Donald Trump know their names? Not a fucking chance. But he sure as shit is going to grandstand on that and pretend this is Joe Biden's fault. That's what's so disgusting.
Can you imagine if you were the parents? That's the point, is literally using them as political pawns. Not because he cares, and also not because it's the real issue, right? Like, in order to prevent crime, the point is to look at statistical data and then concentrate the funding to after reading the data. That's how we use the money and allocate the money effectively. And we know from the data that there is no migrant crime wave, which proves that he's using them as political pawns. And that's what I can't take. And then, of course, again, like the dehumanization, like that's the point. He wants people to no longer see immigrants as humans. That's why he's calling them animals.
And if you're going to make the case that people like they're making, that all across South America, people are emptying out their jails and they're sending them to America. If you're going to make that case, then you can't also make the case at the same time that we don't add more resources to get these asylum claims done quicker, right? You can't do that. You can't make both sides of this argument. You can't say we're not going to add more resources to the border so that we catch people coming in who have no right or no claim to asylum, and then also be like, oh, this is your fault. If you want to fix it, if you want to make sure that if countries happen to unload, let's just say one of these countries did unload their prisons and send all their prisoners here. Well, don't we want resources at the border to catch that? Don't we want resources so that we can process people quickly, decide if it's an actual asylum claim before they are allowed to come into our country and work and stay? Yeah, so add more resources. But again, Donald Trump is saying no resources. He loves this. In fact, if this happens more, it's better for him. Donald Trump is openly rooting for this stuff to happen. The more people lose their lives, and there happens to be somebody that's not legal that's here, that's better for him. If this happened 20 times a day, nobody would be more happy than Donald Trump.
And at any time, please remember, he can call any of his minions. He can call Mike Johnson and say, pass that border bill. We need to stop this. If he cared, right? We need to do something about the border. We need to fund the border. We need to move these claims through faster. Like any of those things he could do at any time. And like, he does have control of, I mean, it's sad he's not in power, but he does have control.
On day one of my administration, I will terminate every open border policy of the Biden administration, and we will begin the largest domestic deportation operation in American history because we have no choice. We have no choice.
Well, we have a choice, like, right? We could.
Yeah. Do you think these this deportation, they'll have camps? Do you think those camps will, be concentrated in certain places?
Definitely.
Yeah. Do you think the group of people that are charged to round them up might, I don't know, have like a specific uniform, maybe a specific badge that they put on while they're going to try and round up all of these people, millions of people? We're legitimately talking about like a redo of 1930s Germany right now.
And so that's the point.
About.
Like, instead of, I mean, yes, Trump made a lot of mistakes. He thinks Obama's the president. But yeah, like to me, when I was listening to these speeches, the larger, scarier message is definitely this stuff.
That's why they're weaponizing law enforcement for high-level election interference, where Joe Biden goes after his political opponent.
Time out. Can anybody... The leap that this motherfucker just made right there, the leap between we have a problem at the border to that's why they're weaponizing the Department of Justice against me? Like, draw that line. Somebody find the fucking connection there. Like by the way, these investigations started years ago. So that's what this was about. That's the whole reason. The whole reason for this is because they desperately, the same people trying with everything they can to pass a border bill, to fix the problems at the border. You're also making the claim that they want this to happen, that they want this to happen. Because and that's why they're prosecuting Donald Trump, because they need this to happen and Donald Trump will stop it. Make it make fucking sense. Why are they passing bills then? Why are they begging Republicans to sign a bill that would curtail the amount of people that are coming into our country? Somebody make it make sense. For the love of God, that's crazy.
He worked with Fani, even though it's spelled Fanny. F-A-N-I, Fani. How about that one? How about that one with her lover? Nathan Wade, her lover.
Pause. Can you pause real quick? Just out of curiosity, is F-A-N-I, is that a word in the English language?
No.
Okay,
that's why it's so confusing.
Okay. So you can just pronounce it however you choose to name somebody because it's not a real word? Now, is there a word that is spelled Fanny?
Yes.
Yeah, and how many N's does that one have?
2.
Remember we looked at Trump's transcripts?
And a Y.
On Friday? Yeah, 2 N's and a Y. This dumb dick couldn't pass high school, could barely pass college. Like, of course spelling is fucking him up right now. We already have that word. F-A, it's Fanny. No, it's not. No, it's whatever you want to say because you made up the name. I come from Utah. Like, we eliminated the letter Y in favor of E-I-G-H for every name. So you can spell names however the fuck you want. I know. I'm from Utah. McKensley.
That's funny.
F-A-N-I, Fani. How about that one? How about that one with her lover? Nathan Wade, her lover. Let's go get Trump. Because if they go after Trump, they can pay him more money. And then she can take beautiful trips on the sea, beautiful trips to foreign islands. Her and her lover, they have such a good time. The guy got paid almost $1 million and he never did it before. But he did the other thing before that he did with Fani. He did plenty of that.
Trump's been thinking a lot about what they're doing.
That's what he's good at, I guess.
Check that search history.
And this was before he worked.
Fani is a single woman who's allowed to do anything that she wants. Like, it's very misogynistic to demonize women's sexuality. This is like an age-old story. We're talking about someone who, by a jury of his peers, was found liable of sexual abuse, of sexually abusing a woman.
Right.
And people are cheering him on, talking about what? A single woman who...
Yeah, and if we're gonna take up totals, if we're gonna take dollar amounts and talk about election interference, I don't know if the number 130,000 rings a fucking bell, Donald Trump. Like, now we're gonna talk about election interference and what people do in their bedroom, and if there was money that exchanged hands there. Is that the route we want to go down, Trump folks? Court starts soon for Donald Trump. Took campaign funds and paid off somebody that he had sex with while his wife was in the hospital with their newborn child. But yeah, Fani Willis had a consensual adult relationship, and she's very much in the public eye, and she didn't want that out there because it's her own relationship, and that's the problem. But paying $130,000 to keep quiet about an affair that you had, again, while your son that you love so much, Barron, was in the hospital with his mother, who, again, you love so much, and then you paid $130,000 out of campaign funds. That's fine, but Fani Willis, who you have found no evidence that had any sort of monetary gain for what she did, simply had a relationship. Okay, got it.
Guys, tap the screen. Let's get to 65K. And again, we are accepting grassroots donations. We do appreciate it because 100% of those donations go to us and our business. If you would like to donate, we will still be reading out messages. And again, we do have gifts back on. Tap the screen. And if you would like to talk to us, if you're a Republican, about why are you voting for Donald Trump, we would love to talk to you about that.
Straight.
Please come. Please. We would love to talk to you. It's not a scary place. In fact, let's just be fully transparent, Felice.
Okay.
Let's be very transparent. Felice and I talked this weekend about sometimes this gets a little draining going over stories the whole time, and we do want conversation, and we don't want it to be too echo chambery, which it's going to be, because Felice and I agree on a lot of things. It's going to be echo chambery, but like we have said, we want to make it a friendlier place for MAGA to come, so they can get their words out. So we're offering and telling you right now, we will let you speak. We'll even be nice to you. Felice will be especially nice to you because she is especially nice. Every time I'm mean, Felice will make it up to you by saying nice words. Yeah.
No, and I think I was thinking a lot about this. Like, I just think, like, since we started doing lives together, I experienced an amount of pressure, like, just from, like, tons of death threats, like, daily and stuff, that I think, like, normally I am, like, being a teacher, like, a very understanding person. And I think, like, the stress that I've been under has gotten away from that. So, like, I personally, like, Jay's not even, it sounds like a joke, but he's not even really joking. Like, I want to be, like, a person that allows people to speak and listens despite, and not let, like, other outside threats or things happening in my life affect that.
Also, stop
That's
threatening
my
Felice
challenge
if you
for
could.
myself. Oh yeah, and also, yeah,
not to minimize that. It would be great if you guys would stop threatening Felice's life. That would be terrific. Yeah.
On day one of my administration, I will terminate every open border policy of the Biden administration, and we will begin the largest domestic deportation.
Oh wait, I played.
operation.
Sorry about that. It's like, I know I've heard this before.
I don't speak German, but I've seen the clips of Adolf with subtitles talking about removing people from their country to like boisterous applause. I just want to throw that out there, that what we're talking about here is identical to what was happening in 1930s Germany. I like that. The rage in the voice, the enthusiasm from the crowd, the fact that these fucking morons have been convinced that the problem with our country is immigration. When we're done with this, we'll go back to 90 and I'll show this clip that Elon Musk posted. But like it's getting way too close to what we've seen before. Way too close. Like, it's hard to not draw a comparison now.
And I think, look, when you think about it, that might be what the media is struggling to figure out, like, and what we were talking about with Meidas touch. It's like, okay, they started off saying, hey, look, like, this is fascist rhetoric straight from 1930s Germany, right? And then the response to that, well, from the right was, we don't, oh, yeah, that's what we're looking for. Like, we're here for that. And so now they're like, okay, well, it seems like now the right is signaling that they want to talk about, you know, whose cognitive abilities are there or not. You know, like that seems to be an important issue. So maybe that's why they're highlighting it, because whenever they brought out the fascist rhetoric stuff, everyone's like, oh yeah, we're cool with that.
Yeah, if you've ever been like in an argument with somebody that like you care about and that you can have open conversations with, I think it's one of those things that for Republicans that they need somebody they trust. Sometimes if you are having an argument, Felice and I, for example, we've had very few arguments, but every once in a while we'll disagree on something. But what I do know with Felice is that if Felice sees something that's troublesome about what I'm doing, she'll bring it up. And because I trust her and I believe that what she's saying like comes from the heart and her experience, it's easier for me to recognize in myself maybe stuff that I can easily recognize in others, but internally I miss it. And that's what you're seeing here with this Republican Party is they claim to hate fascism. They talk about it. They call Joe Biden a fascist all the time, but they don't recognize fascism when it's literally in their life. Like this whole crowd is cheering for fascism right before our eyes. They are saying like, go be a dictator. You, Donald Trump, use all the authority that you don't have and just go and start rounding up brown people. We love it. We're going to cheer for it. Not recognizing what that means. That like he's not advocating for a bill that does something. He's saying I'm going to use the military to go and round people up. That's textbook fascism. I'm going to do it unilaterally. I'm going to do it by myself because I'm goddamn Donald Trump and I can do anything. But they don't recognize that because what they've been fed this constant stream of fear where they feel like it's their only option. And that's when fascism takes over. When you feel like there are no other options, when you feel like, oh, we can't win elections, the courts are against us, every communism, this is our only option. So if we want conservatism to live on, we have to do it through fascism. That's how they do it, guys. That's how fascists take over. They don't show up and go, hey, we're going to be fascists now. And everybody's like, yay. No, they lie to you. They tell you it's not fascism.
When they indicted me, you could never indict him on January 6th. They indicted me. You could never indict him on the document hoax. I come under the Presidential Records Act. I'm allowed to do all of that. I'm allowed to do whatever I want.
So, I'm choking.
No.
I'm allowed to do whatever I want, were his exact words if you didn't hear the end.
None of this falls under the Presidential Records Act. The Presidential Records Act allows Trump to decide whether or not certain things are released to the public for it's 5 or 6 years. That's it. The Presidential Records Act does not allow him to do anything that he did. Again, that's a lie. And you know it's a lie when you turn on the TV and nobody else is making that argument. Nobody.
But imagine
no lawyers.
How he knew they would never figure it out, because all they would have to do, the Presidential Records Act is quite short, right? Like you could
Donald's
not
penis.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
That's what Stormy said. I don't know.
There we I know. Like, maybe we'll get some testimony to that by the end of the month. Nobody knows. But yeah, like if all they would have to do is read it and be like, hey, this has nothing to do with anything. But no.
I challenge everybody to just go read it. It is so short. It is very short. And the words are small enough that Republicans can understand it. It is not difficult to read that and realize, oh, this has nothing to do with what Donald Trump is saying. It's 5 years. And they're only eligible for access under a Freedom of Information Act 5 years after the president leaves. And
Thank you,
the very
Alto
first
Gato.
point, the very
that
first
visual.
point, yeah, the very first point is that the archivist, which is NARA in this case, is required that there's no ambiguity there, required to take custody of these records when the president leaves office and to maintain them in a federal depository. Step one is like, hey, you can't take this shit to Mar-a-Lago and put it on a stage. And Trump's up on stage going, yeah, I'm covered by this. Like, step one is literally like, no, you can't take this. And we have to have it. It's ours. It's the archivist that has this. That's step one in the Presidential Records Act. Like, I don't know. I mean, obviously no advisors are going to tell him shit, but that means it's the dumbest argument. And that's why they're not making it legally, because it's
This is a really good
stupid.
This is a really good point to say this. Just some breaking news. Jack Teixeira, who is the kid who had a bunch of classified documents on Discord and was giving them to his gamer friends or whatnot, he agrees to a 16-year plea deal right now. So he withdrew his not guilty plea and pleaded guilty to 6 counts of willful retention and transmission of national defense information. Let's see. Sorry, it just popped up on my phone. So the judge in the case, Talwani, scheduled a hearing in September to determine whether she would sign off on the deal. Okay, so it's still up in the air. He's still in custody. Yeah, so that's interesting.
Chris Erickson says Donald Trump paid $100,000 per inch. That's pretty good.
That's
Minor. The total was 130,000. By the way, I was watching. What's his name again? The Teixeira. What's his first name?
Jack.
I want to say Mark because of the baseball player every time. But he went into a private Discord. He was sharing this, and then he tried to go to his friends and like if anybody contacts you, tell them that I didn't do this. We have a recorded call of Donald Trump showing people classified documents and bragging about it. This guy got 16 years, and you're going to tell me that what Donald Trump didn't do is a crime? This guy's just talking about it.
This guy
Donald
barely
Trump's
did anything compared to what Trump did.
Yeah, Trump's holding it and showing it to people. They're just scattered loosely across his desk and then all around Mar-a-Lago. Yeah.
And he's going to be president. Like, if you want to talk about a two-tier, I'll say this all day. Jack Teixeira, like, Trump never went to jail. He's been in custody the whole time. He pointed out, like, Trump's not in jail. Why am I in jail? Like, every argument they made, they slapped down, right? But not because he's not right. Like, I've said it, until Trump's held accountable, I feel the same, like, it's everyone being held accountable for J6 must just be like, what is going on? Like, why am I the only person being held responsible for anything?
Michelle says, I'm not a Christian, but you two are doing the Lord's work. Thank you, Michelle.
That's a good one.
That.
I like that one. Guys, tap the screen. We're almost to 100K. Time flies. It's already 10:30.
But they indicted me. You could never indict him on January 6th. They indicted me. You could never indict him on the document hooks. I come under the Presidential Records Act. I'm allowed to do all of that. I'm allowed to do whatever I want. New York Times did a story. Please, 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 Mr. President, please, could we have our boxes? And if the president says no, he doesn't have to give them.
That is what he's telling. Like, none of that is true.
I'll read it again. The archivist is required to take custody of these records when the president leaves office and to maintain them in a federal depository. You can't have them. And if they ask for them back, you have to give them back. It's so simple. That's why the
only defense in the docs case is delay.
Yeah.
Like, thank God he has the judge he has. Like, and then the just more delay because SCOTUS is going to hear the president, like the presidential immunity thing. Like the hearing on last Friday about the docs case, like that's all it was. Still don't have a trial date. Still delaying, bringing into question. It's definitely not starting on time though. And obviously, like he's saying, I'm going to make the case for presidential immunity in that case as well.
Right, and the only way for Donald Trump can't have these documents, but just for clarification, he can keep documents private for up to 12 years. I said 5 earlier. That's just the records. And you can make a FOIA request, but they have to be granted an exemption. So again, this Presidential Records Act, which is seems to be his only defense, is not going to fly. This is the most cut and dry case. And for the MAGA that's out there, for our favorite border security guy, who's also our #1 fan, it's great to have you here. Do something about those geese. I would just say, like, why? Why do you still want this guy? Like, this guy doesn't give a flying
Be
fuck
nice
about
to
our
Josh.
national
Josh,
security.
do you want to talk to us? I'm going to be super nice. I have turned over a new leaf.
My leaf got turned
Jay
back over.
Jay
but,
forgot
like,
already.
why?
Jay made it 5 minutes. However,
That's more than I thought. That's better than I thought.
I'm proud of you. Proud of you. That's a new record.
Thank you. Thank you.
Whereas mine were at the Great Mar-a-Lago. I had Secret Service all over the place. I had a locked door. You know, they asked me, could I put another lock? We showed them. I said, here's where they're stored. Take a look. They looked. They said, could you put an extra? We had a good lock there. We had Secret Service. They said, could you put an extra lock in? And I said, sure, put an extra lock. They wrote me a letter. Thank you very much. Put an extra lock. And then they raided Mar-a-Lago after that. These are bad people.
Yeah. Yeah.
These are
See,
bad
what
people.
happened was, it turns out that room that they put a second lock on wasn't the only place where they had records.
Because he had lied.
Turns out they were also in a bathroom. They were also on a stage, and they subpoenaed phone records and text message
and
records.
surveillance
They found out.
footage and surveillance
footage. Yeah, which by the way they tried to delete.
Yes,
They also
and
tried to delete. Yeah.
the pool man, right? Want to talk about Hillary's server, but we had Carlos Olvera, whatever, trying to flood servers.
Sorry, that just ask yourself, like, if Donald Trump, for those that support him, like, why is he not telling you the truth? Why is he stating a very, very small portion of the case? Why? Why do you allow him to just lie to you? Because this is obviously not true. Everybody who's read that indictment knows that what he's saying is not true.
Yeah, this is from Saturday, guys. Someone asked when this is from. Yeah, this is from his speech in North Carolina on Saturday. So yeah, this is quite recent. This is not an old clip. He's really still doing this. This is not a drill.
Felice from Toby, F. Mary Banish, Don Jr., Eric, and Donald Von Schitzenpants.
Wait, okay. Well, wait, who's the Don Jr. and who's the other one besides Trump?
It's the two brothers, or the two sons in Trump.
Okay. Well, actually, I've said this. Well, definitely I'm banishing Donald Trump. But because those two kids have been abused. Like, I was raised, but I actually have a lot of solidarity with those two kids. But probably I'm going to have to do... Oh, this is so hard. I'm going to save Don Jr. I'm going to marry Don Jr.
Nice.
I'm going to fix him. I'm going to fix him. I'm going to get him sober. I'm going to, I'm going to tie a little bow around him like this old house. I'm going to fix him all the way up.
You understand that this means regularly at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, you're going to have Guilfoyle showing up at your house trying to break down the door,
screaming
right?
outside.
Yeah, you're going to have
Just
to deal with
screaming
Guilfoyle.
outside. Yeah, she's never going away for sure. But yeah, and then Eric, just like one night. Well, he could like cry softly in a corner.
You can your one-nighter with Eric will just be him crying and cuddling.
I assume that's what I
which
assume
you're great
it's
at.
like. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what I assume it's like. Just him crying.
The radical left Democrats rigged the presidential election in 2020, and we're not going to allow them to rig the presidential election of 2024.
Let's ask this question. All right, let's just say, first of all, Armando said, I just read O-Pill, an abortion pill, will be available online and in pharmacies without a prescription by the end of the month. Small bit of good news for people with a uterus.
Yeah, it's in certain states starting out, and then they're planning on rolling it out farther. But I think it's CVS and Walgreens as well, I believe I read. But yeah, like super good news.
Now let's just say that these liberal elites or whatever these liberal fascist commie socialist Democrats rigged the 2020 election, and you're not going to let us do it again. Well, last time we rigged the election, I'm not saying it was TikTok. It wasn't rigged. I'm just quoting his words. Last time we rigged the election, you were in power, and you couldn't stop it. What are you going to do? What are you going to do this time? How are you going to stop it this time? If that were true, what are you going to do?
He's making a presidential immunity argument to make sure we could rig it. You know what I mean? It doesn't even, like, think about how ludicrous it is. Like, you're saying the president can do anything they want, and it's fine, and it's not a crime. And then you're also crying that you're not going to let someone rig an election. Like, how does that make sense? Yes, we did forget Marxist. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you. God, I apologize. That's on me. Wait, this guy has no power. He can't stop. He lost his businesses. He's going to lose Mar-a-Lago. Like, the place he lives, he's probably going to have to sell. This man has no power, and he's standing up there in front of a crowd saying, I won't let it happen again. Bitch, everything we want to happen to you is happening. Literally, like, you have no power to stop anything. You're just a whiny old man who doesn't even have security clearance anymore because you're a threat to our national security. And people are just like, he can do it. How? How the fuck is a guy can't keep his business, can't fund his own campaign, can't keep the Republican Party from going bankrupt, can't beat Nikki in D.C., eat shit Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah.
This is the guy. Don't worry, guys. I got this. No, bitch, you don't. You don't have this.
And you know how much he doesn't have it? It's like him editing the article. You know how he signed a piece of paper that said he had $455 million or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he was liquid. And then now he doesn't have the money and had to file something with the judge. Well, he edited another article because what happened in that ruling is the judge basically said that he can apply for loans, which is a whole other thing of like, would someone trust him with a loan? Like all of these different things. But yeah, he doesn't want people to know that he's probably going to get loaned the money because he doesn't have it. So he just deleted that out of the article.
Yeah, and just a reminder that Donald Trump is still doing this thing on True Social, which is True Social. That's the place you go for truth. Except for Donald Trump editing anything that's bad about him out of articles, like other people's articles. I'm not talking about taking a screenshot of the good part. I'm talking about he's removing parts of the articles. All the while, he's also scamming the people who started True Social with him. He basically pulled a Zuckerberg and whatever his partners was. They diluted their shares down to nothing so that he can bail himself out of these legal troubles. But
yeah, we could talk more about, but yeah, and those two guys, the people that brought him the idea for True Social were former Apprentice winners. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't know that until this weekend.
Yeah, it's super interesting. But yeah, that's so funny because he's effing them completely over, like, so that he can make up for the money he has to pay to New York.
Every time the radical left Democrats, Marxists, communists, and fascists indict me, I consider it a great badge of honor. I'm being indicted for you. I am. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Donald. Thanks. He's doing it for you guys.
I stand before you today not only as your past and hopefully future president, but as a proud political dissident and as a public enemy of a rogue regime. This is a rogue and dangerous machine. This is a
Wait, time out. Can you pause it? How can you be the establishment and rogue? Pick a fucking lane. If you're rogue, you're breaking off from the establishment. How can you be the establishment and rogue? Just out of curiosity. Has anybody ever listened to what this guy's saying?
He's a political dissident who's taking over the Republican National Committee. Make it make sense.
Let's keep in mind that he wants Laura Trump to take over and commit crimes. He's basically going to Laura Trump saying, hey, take over the RNC, commit a bunch of crimes for me. And she's like, yeah, I'll do it. Like, there is no end to who he will throw under the bus as long as he doesn't have to get in trouble. Literally. Business
and when
partners,
she gets caught, she's going
members.
to jail while he like waves to her.
Yeah.
He'll be like,
he's going to be like, oh, sorry, you got to pay your own legal bills. Sorry, mine, these other funds
I've got to use all this money
shit.
for me. Yeah, no extra money. Like he said at one point, like in some speech, I think it was in Virginia, his Virginia speech, he was basically saying he's going to get the Romneys out of politics. Like they're the corrupt ones. You know what I mean? Like everything Ronna did was for him. And now he's selling this story like he's ridding the RNC of corruption. Like she committed crimes for him to cover up his crimes.
And Mitt Romney, if he was running for president on the RNC ticket, he would win. He would beat Joe Biden.
No good deed goes unpunished, man.
Yeah.
Even if you will do crimes for Trump, like Ronna did, that was not enough. That's not enough to save her. Like,
oof. Kim has given us the Banish, or Mary Banish, MAGA Men with Microphones edition.
MAGA Men with Microphones. I love an alliteration. So there, you have Kim's me. Brilliant. Consonants.
Tim Pool, Charlie Kirk, Andrew Tate.
Wait.
Tim Pool, Charlie Kirk, Andrew Tate.
Well, I never thought it would. Oh my gosh!
one's
Like,
brutal.
I mean, are you
This
kidding?
one's brutal.
I can't because of some of the stuff. Like, I have to probably banish Andrew Tate. Just like the
Yeah.
whole essay stuff. Like, that is
Yeah.
so triggering just for my past trauma. Yeah, like I can't do that. But like
Which
Charlie,
is convenient because Romania is going to help you out with banishing him, so it's not
Yeah,
not
hopefully
going to
they
take much
keep
of an
him
effort
there.
for you. Yeah.
hopefully you'll be staying. It's Charlie Kirk and who's the other one? Sorry,
Tim
I keep-
Pool.
Oh yeah, then I'll probably words I never thought I was going to have to say in my life. I guess I'll marry Tim Pool and then like hate F Charlie Kirk. I can't spend. Can you imagine
No.
living with Charlie Kirk and he's filming his podcast like in the next room?
Yeah. Tim Pool's stupid and not a
Yeah.
great debater, and so I feel comfortable. Like I would walk all over Tim Pool in
Then
that
we can fix
relationship.
Tim. I think we could fix Tim.
Maybe not, but I'll walk all over him. And Charlie Kirk, again, I've used this line before, but with Charlie Kirk, not only am I having a one-nighter, I'm filming it, and I'm gonna leak it, and I'm
Leverage.
gonna blow up the Turning Point USA with that
Literally.
leaked video.
Blow up.
I might even invite Jesse Lee Peterson just for fun.
Jesse Lee. Here's the rest of that clip.
These people are thugs and they're bullies. And what they've done to people, you heard the hostages singing. That was hostages.
This is real.
They're the J6 hostages, I call them, because they are hostages. They're policemen, they're firemen, they're accountants. They're lawyers in some cases.
Traitors.
They're put in jail for extended periods of time, for very long periods of time. They're hostages.
Yeah.
You heard them singing. You heard the spirit that they had? The spirit is unbelievable. That song became the number one song. And you can check me on, they always check my facts. Oh, look at all that fake news. That's a lot of fake news back there. Wow.
Oh, we're calling out the fake
The
news
red
again.
lights
Oh,
are starting
okay,
to
cool.
go off.
Yeah, because they turn the cameras off when he starts spreading misinformation and disinformation because they could get sued.
Now, most artists don't release their music as singles, right? They don't make you pay on Spotify for their music. The reason these MAGA songs keep going to number one is because they're all fucking grifters, and they release their songs but on iTunes, and you have to pay for them. So they're number one on like paid songs. Right, when they go to the top of those charts, it's not because they're the most popular
it's not
songs in the country.
streams. Yeah, it's not streams.
It's downloads. And these are all just grifters. That's what he's talking about. I wonder who got the money for that song, by the way. It would be interesting to find out who got the money for that song.
Like, did he promise
these
to
poor-
donate? Oh, we should definitely look into that because he
So
didn't.
if anybody
donate.
knows,
Did he actually sing? Like, it's him and the J6 choir, right?
I've never heard it.
I didn't
is he
either.
part
I
of it?
could not. No, I've heard. Well, they played it at this rally, so I did hear part of it before I turned it off. But yeah, it's like, or he speaks. Someone saying, Money Steve is saying he speaks, which makes more like talk
It
singing.
makes more sense.
A classic.
There's a
The old-
J6 choir. Listen, YouTube that shit. Yes, there is a J6 choir, and they play. They're out of
It's the
songs to play at
hostages
Trump rallies because
from
everybody's
jail.
like, "Don't play." Yeah, everybody's like, "Don't play our music." So Trump's running out of songs he's allowed to play at rallies. He's got like the YMCA in which he's allowed to just jerk it, do his little jerk it dance, and then this song. Do we want to go to Trump speaking right now or no? I know he's speaking
We don't
at
have.
Mar-a-Lago.
I don't think we need to because is he outside where the planes land? It might not be. I'm just saying. No, I'm being
he's just-
serious. Like every time he
He's
gets
just on the fucking tarmac
press conferences,
this
you
time.
can't hear. Like it's.
Yeah.
I'm fine. We can just go over it tomorrow if you're fine with that. But otherwise, if you
Yeah,
want
let's
to
do it
hear
tomorrow.
yeah, I'm open to it. But okay,
I mean, what's he gonna say? He's gonna say the same shit.
the same
He's gonna
thing.
be like,
Yeah, exactly the same.
the Supreme Court unanimously approved that they're all attacking me. This is unfair. There's the radical Marxists in Colorado that tried to take me off the ballot. Like, we get it. We know what he's gonna say. It's gonna be all.
He's like, oh, this is a
hyperbolic.
win for America. I think he said on Truth Social. It's like, and that's what that's what it was. And that's when I heard Neil Katyal was saying, like, they didn't declare him not an insurrectionist. Like, they just said
Right.
that, like, yeah, it's just they're talking about election issues. But yeah, of course, Trump
That's a
is
good
painting
point.
it that way.
Chris said he's just going to say he's exonerated. Yeah, and then all the
Exactly.
MAGAs are going to say that too, because they don't know what exonerated means.
Chris.
They've never figured that out. They still think that he was exonerated through, what's that dumb dick's name that did the Mueller report response?
Oh,
What's his
yeah.
name?
Why can't... why? I was just about to
I
say
can see his
Dunbar.
face.
It starts with a D, right?
Dunbar. I like that.
But what was his name?
Durham.
Durham. I was like,
Durham,
Dunbar.
yeah.
That's how he should be a Dunbar. Makes a lot more sense, I think.
Isn't that from Dances
I
with
heard him
Wolves?
come-
Isn't that Dunbar?
Well, I don't know,
Dances
but
with Wolves? All right.
I feel like I knew someone like on MTV Real World who was named that or something.
But I heard him coming in on the plane. I was listening, and I said to the people in the plane, watch this. This is Martin Luther King on steroids. Okay, now.
Oh my gosh, this is the worst. I forgot about this clip. He's talking, mind you, about Mark Robinson. Did you see some of the... We can't even... I don't think we can say it out loud, but like, let me just... When he says this stuff, I'm just gonna... We'll tell you more after, but he's talking about Mark Robinson, who is the lieutenant governor for North Carolina, who is projected to be the Republican candidate for governor in that state. And then
And just to be clear, again, Donald Trump said he is Martin Luther King on steroids, meaning a more effective version of Martin Luther King. This is, first of all, Trump just calling any black person Martin Luther King is fucking wild. Like this guy is not echoing anything Dr. King said. He doesn't sound like Dr. King. There's nothing about him that's even remotely similar to Dr. King, except for that he's black. That's it. And that's how Donald Trump is looking at this. Like he now wants this guy to be viewed like Martin Luther King because he's a psycho, and he loves Donald Trump. So Donald Trump naturally, I don't think you got this clip, but multiple times this weekend, Donald Trump said the truth just out loud. He's like, I didn't used to like them, and then they said they liked me, and now I love them. I love people who like me. It's just like, all right. So here we go.
Here's the full clip.
I was listening, and I said to the people in the plane, watch this. This is Martin Luther King on steroids. Okay, now, I told that to Mark. I said, I think you're better than Martin Luther King. I think you are Martin Luther King times 2. And he looked at me, and I wasn't sure, was he angry because that's a terrible thing to say, or was he complimented? I have never figured it out. But I'm telling you, he's one of, right? When I said that to you, you looked like, I don't know if I like that comment. You should like it because you are outstanding, and you're going to be the next governor, so that's going to be very cool.
Okay, so, and then if I suggest everyone really read this, because there's a good Washington Post article called Offensive Comments. I think these are 16, 17 in the outline. Offensive comments by NC Republicans stand out even in Trump's party. And look, let me just read like a paragraph of this if I think I can get through it. Trigger warning. The deluge of offensive comments that made such a declaration necessary. There was the time he called school mass tragedy survivors media prostitutes, meaning kids who were victims of a mass tragedy, were like trapped in a school tragedy, and then went to Congress to testify about it. He called them media prostitutes for advocating for gun control policies.
Can you imagine, children and their parents, even if you don't agree with their the stance on gun control, right, or new gun control policies, you can't have sympathy for somebody who lost a child or their children had to deal with. You can't have sympathy that even if you thought they were crazy for advocating this, you can't have any sympathy for somebody who dealt with a tragedy like this and just doesn't want it to happen again. Again, this is the dehumanizing aspect of these MAGA people is what's sad. If you disagree with the policies that they're advocating for, fine, make that comment. But to call children media prostitutes because children are afraid to go to school ever again. These children will never enter a school again and not think about the idea that somebody might enter with a weapon. And your response to that is you're so callous and so heartless that you're going to call children prostitutes.
and just for wanting to live, for going to Congress to beg to be able to learn and not like be unalived in the process. And I just want to say that's like one of the more like tame things I can actually read. Like this is a man who through memes mocked Harvey Weinstein's victim in horrible ways.
The victim.
Other
Wait,
meme
let's
mocking
not gloss over
actresses.
that. Everybody knows Harvey Weinstein's a dirtbag. This guy's apparently the only one on the other side. He's out there like criticizing the victims of Harvey Weinstein, like almost universally. You know how big of a shitbag you need to be like pro Harvey Weinstein? This big of a shitbag, and it's no surprise that like probably the most outrageous person currently on the ballot running on a MAGA ticket, Donald Trump.
Now that Majewski's gone. Yeah. Now that Majewski's gone, this is the worst person probably on about. Like, this is a person who I like quote, like in a meme called, this is how he speaks of women, quote, whore dresses to protest sexual harassment, talking about the clothing women wore, who were then protesting being sexually harassed. The prediction that rising acceptance of homosexuality would lead to, three PDOs, quote, the end of civilization as we know it. That's what he says. Calls the rise of homosexuality in America. The talk of arresting transgender people for their bathroom choice. The use of many, many, many anti-Semitic tropes. Facebook posts calling Hillary Clinton heifer, calling Michelle Obama a man. The whole 9 yards. Please understand, this is going to be the Republican candidate for governor of a state.
Yeah, his solution to...
And Trump's calling him Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah. And when you talk about like equality, even things like a bathroom, or he is saying that if you are a transgender person, your bathroom should be outside in the corner somewhere. That's what he actually said.
That's on a different article. If you want to look up, it's called North Carolina. It's a talking points memo. It's called North Carolina's Lieutenant Governor is a Facebook brawler whose post railed against gays, blacks, and Jews. We can't really talk about all of it, but just he's running for governor of North Carolina.
Now, these are actual things that he said. And just to point out that like this was from his campaign spokesman. These are all real quotes. These are all real things that he said. And his campaign spokesman said, "It's sad but not surprising that there's no low the Democrats and their allies in the media won't stoop to smear Mark Robinson. Oh yeah, a real new low." Saying the shit that he said, writing down, putting in an article the actual words that he said, quoting him correctly. That's now our new low. That's who the Republicans are. How dare you use their own words against them? How dare you? That's the new fucking low.
How dare you raise awareness?
Yeah. You used his words, you piece of shit.
You raised awareness about who this man is? How dare you? And Trump's up there saying he's the next Martin Luther King Jr. And note, at the end of that clip, like he was even uncomfortable. Mark Robinson knew he shouldn't be doing that.
But do you think, now North Carolina is a toss-up a little bit. Like it could go blue. It could go to Biden, right? Do you think having this guy at like the top of your ballot, you've got Trump, and then you've got this guy? What do you think this is going to do, Republicans? You don't think that this is going to, like, people vote because they're excited to vote, or they hate the person that's running against their candidate? You now have the top of the North Carolina ticket, two of the most disgusting human beings, according to virtually everybody that's not in MAGA. This is independents, this is Democrats, this is, let's call them McCain conservatives. Outside of MAGA, everybody else thinks these two people are despicable, and not like, well, we don't really like them. Like, these are bad human beings. These are despicable human beings. MAGA doesn't understand how elections work, and they keep propping up these psychos who are going to bring people out to vote against them. North Carolina, first of all, do your job. get this done. But the missteps all along the way by MAGA is unbelievable. This person, pre-Trump, would never have made it out of the primaries.
Guys, tap the screen. We're almost to 100K.
Even if he had support, nobody would have the no Republican would allow this person, because they'd be like, I can't win a general. But under the Trump years, the crazier, the better.
Yeah, no, and also I just want to point out, like, what's happening here is exactly what they did with what's his name, the guy that ran for Herschel Walker. Like,
yeah.
No lessons learned. Like, this is why I personally get so offended. Like, it's the idea that minorities are a monolith. Like, it doesn't matter the content of Mark Robinson's character, right? Which everyone is saying, except for MAGA, it does. This man has said vile things about pretty much every category of human being. He has insulted in ways that are unforgivable. And Donald Trump's thinking, because he thinks all minorities are a monolith, we all think the same way, is, oh, see, look, guys, here's an African-American man that supports me, so you guys will all support him. See, because he supports me, and you guys all think the same, so you guys will all support me. And what we learned from Herschel Walker, and we're going to learn again here, is this is not what people want.
Yeah,
we're not monoliths. We can think individually for ourselves.
And that goes to show, like, the internal racism, the internal, like, white supremacy of the Republican Party, is that's actually what they think about minority groups, is that they actually do think they're dumb. They actually think that the reason that they're not voting for Republican is because they're too stupid, and that they're just easily duped by the left. Right? Like, they can't figure out. There's no ability within themselves to say, okay, like 96% of this community is not voting for us. What can we do to message to them better? Hand raised. What if we just kept telling them they were stupid, and we'll put up a black person to tell them that they're stupid? That'll work.
Yeah,
like, that's actually the plan. It sounds awful. It's diminishing, but it's legitimately what they do. Like, these people that they put up are terrible candidates, terrible candidates. But they're putting them up because they're black, because they think that they can win the black vote, and that people just won't care that their candidate is an insane person.
And we saw it again, and we'll talk about it in a little bit. But Charlie Kirk, basically on his like, everyone was telling Trump, you got to cut Charlie Kirk off, right? He's doing this crazy stuff with Martin Luther King Jr. He's insulting him. He's trotting out African-American people, like, using them as human shields so we can hide behind them while disparaging Martin Luther King Jr. Like, this is not good. Like, you're not going to get you're not going to convert people to vote Republican this way. And by all accounts, on Charlie Kirk's podcast last week, he had a one-on-one meeting with Trump that went very well. They're all on the same page. Like, and that's why I was saying, like, it's not about if Trump is remembering things or not remembering things or on something. I mean, we can make that argument because they're saying that's the reason Biden shouldn't be president, because he has cognitive issues, when Trump clearly does. But the real issue is the bigotry and the racism that's oozing out of them. And Trump, normally you would see Charlie Kirk be fired and say, yeah, this isn't going to help us get the African-American vote. But apparently Trump's on board now with it. And that's what's terrifying.
Well, and let's remember, Charlie Kirk also lost the youth vote from Benny, F. Mary Banish, Alito, Thomas, and Kavanaugh.
Oh, gosh. That's hard because we got 2 essayers. That is like my number one trigger. Like, so Clarence must be banished.
Yeah.
I think but Brett Kavanaugh.
The problem with Brett Kavanaugh, see, I might banish Kavanaugh because he's going to be a Supreme Court justice longer.
Yeah, that is a good point.
I'm looking at life expectancy, so I'm sending Kavanaugh. I'll marry Alito, try to talk some sense into him. And
Alito the leaker, the
leaker, and Thomas is getting one night. But during that night, I'm going to convince him that his best course of action would be to step down and just go fishing for a long time. Just go on your fishing trips. We'll see how
Yeah,
that goes.
that is really, Benny, that's mean. That's one of the hardest ones. Like, just, they're all unbearable. But I guess, yeah, did you say you're going to marry Alito? Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you have to. I never thought there would be a scenario
take
in
away
which
his cell
that's
phone.
the option. That's
I'm gonna
exactly,
stop
just like
the
hide
leaks.
his phone
Yeah.
and his reading glasses, and he won't be able to do anything. Like,
Yeah.
we'll just keep hiding his reading glasses, and that'll show him. Oh, this is Trump gave, and in North Carolina, no less. Like, why? But this is Trump's shout out to your girl.
And Lauren, you're going to do fantastically in your district. Lauren Boebert, thank you. Lauren's
Yeah.
from afar.
She's doing great,
but
guys.
She's here, and
She's from afar. Yes.
She's currently not in her district. She's here in North Carolina,
Shocking.
despite the
Not
fact that
serving her constituents.
yeah, despite the fact that her endorsement doesn't mean a goddamn thing. Nobody cares what she thinks, but she's here to kiss my ass. So I'm going to tell her that she's going to do really well in Colorado, the state that fucking hates her.
That's how I would describe it.
never thought it was possible. For our great veterans, we passed VA accountability
God.
and VA choice.
Hey, what year was VA accountability passed? Just out of curiosity.
I not when Trump was president, right?
Yeah,
Wasn't it Obama?
2014.
Yeah.
2014 is when
Yeah.
that passed.
So Trump's now taking credit for things he didn't do for veterans. This is a man that disparages veterans at every single turn. That is now taking credit for Obama's work with veterans.
Yeah, if your brag, the only brag you can come up with about veterans is something, all he did is he like reauthorized it, right? It was passed during Obama. He just reauthorized it. That's it. That's his one brag. Do you remember when he sent our National Guard down near the border and then they didn't get paid? Like, or they didn't get paid I don't know, whatever,
Certain type
hazard
of pay. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't get. Yeah, they just got paid. So they were getting their normal pay. Remember when he did that? Did he care about that? Did he do anything? You've heard him talk about the VA hospitals. You've heard him talk about VA healthcare. Did he do anything for veterans? What has he done for veterans?
He
Not a lot.
said that he didn't want to see the injured ones anymore at any
That's true.
ceremonies because it made him sad.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
He
at
did
every
say that
turn.
he didn't understand why they would fight for, like, why would they risk their life for this country? The guy remember though, he's doing this for us, for the voters. He's taking, and these lawsuits are because he's doing it for us, but he can't understand what it's like to, or why anybody would go out and sacrifice for their country. But he's a true patriot. He understands.
And I just want to draw the comparison. Like, I want everyone to think, like, at first it was so unclear. Like, why is Trump disparaging John McCain? Like, why is he going after this man? Think what we know now. Think about what we've seen with Alexander Smirnov saying all of my information came from Russian misinformation, disinformation, like from Russian sources. Think how we know Trump's being handled essentially by Russians. Like, why would it be so important to disparage McCain? Why would that be Trump's marching orders? Now we see why. Because he didn't want Ukraine to have backing. Like, that's why it was so important to disparage John McCain, which is sad.
By the way, you know the stock market's gone up. There are big professionals, some of the people I know, the biggest, smartest guys on Wall Street. You know why it's going up? Because they think I'm going to win the election. And if we don't win the election, you're going to see what happens. You'll end up in 1929. By the way,
What happened? What's 1929?
Stock market crash, right?
Is that the stock market crash?
I think I assume that's what
I
he
feel
was
like this is
talking
one of the dates he keeps getting wrong. I think it was maybe 28.
Well, that's what
There's
I
one
assumed
date
he was meaning, like the Great Depression.
Yeah, okay. So if Donald Trump, by the way, he also predicted this last time he lost, and we are not in the Great Depression.
Exactly.
So we're still taking this guy seriously? Of course we are, Republicans. We still are. Because this
He's
is exactly what he
the
said
last person
last time.
trying to make any arguments about the economy, for sure. Like, even Fox will not touch the economy with a 10-foot pole. And this is the point in the North Carolina speech where the second person, like, somebody basically went into cardiac arrest, and which was very weird. And like, they were giving him like aggressive CPR. the entire time while Trump's like standing up there.
Wait, what? How did I miss this?
Well, I mean, in the outline, it's the ambulances.
I even read through the outline. How did I miss that?
Well, that's what those emojis mean.
I took like a sleep aid last night. Maybe it was just rough this morning.
Yeah. So basically, during this time here, let me play like one of these. Like at the end of it, he started talking, and it was so weird. This is the QAnon music.
Yeah. This is not added. This is live.
We are a nation in decline.
Okay, so I just
That's the opening line.
Yes. So I can't stress enough for like 5 minutes there. I mean, say like this man was not, you could even tell Trump was like freaked out by it. I mean, they are aggressively trying to save someone's life. Like the kids, the family goes out with them and then they play the QAnon music and Trump like nothing ever.
Like that man's heart, our nation is in decline. That's what he could have at least done that.
Just like nothing ever happened during the whole thing. Just breaks
the worst. Don't tell me that the whole party isn't fear mongering. They dimmed the fucking lights, they turned on the music, they prepared for drama, and they open up with, "We are so fucked." Like, this is the most fear mongering bullshit.
But it just goes to show you like how little he cares. Like someone literally, I mean, if didn't die, came very close to dying in front of all of them. And then he's just like, oh, like performance is back on.
Recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will be reducing.
This is what he's doing. Because he's just watched someone basically unalive, right? Like, just to give you an idea of what, listen to that again. He can't even read the teleprompter. Where he's just like,
Heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will be reducing their.
that he just says,
I think that was audible. Like he realized that he fucked it up, so he's like, "They read it."
He just tried to listen.
Will be reducing their oil production. So sad.
So
While
sad.
at the same time substantially increasing the price. And we recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will reduce.
Sorry, I made it twice because I thought it was so funny. But I mean, listen, it gets weirder. This is not the end of the
I think
weirdness.
he's going to be all right. But
Look,
boy, that was. You see him
quick.
working? He was working. He knew what he was doing. He was.
This is Trump talking about the person that. Oh, sorry.
Well, I just wanted to point out that I too
Sodium.
am worried that Soda Arabia.
Sodium Arabia.
Sodium Arabia is roop-de-doo. That I am concerned that Sodium Arabia.
We all need to keep an eye on it. We need to keep our ears to the ground, people. At any moment, Sodium Arabia could go roop-de-doo.
I think he's going to be all right. But boy, that was. You see him working?
Oh,
He was
fucking
working. He
Dr.
knew what
Trump.
He was doing. He was,
He'll be fine. He'll be
Well, 'cause
fine.
he's
Back to me, folks.
And honestly, I just want to point out, like, Trump is famously, like, sort of a germaphobe and, like, doesn't like situations that involve stuff like that. So, like, yeah, like, I feel like he was trying to soothe himself, if anything. You know what I mean? Like, he's just sort of just like, yeah, okay.
Well, did they not have it like a bright light they could shine inside of him or some bleach or something they could do?
I know, they
to
should
try
have
and
just used a
nurse him
bright light
back?
to cleanse the heart attack out
Yeah.
of him. That's what really should have happened. Too bad there was no ivermectin there when you needed it.
Damn.
I think he's going to be all right. But boy, that was. You see him working? He was working. He knew what he was doing. He was doing a job to get him going, get that heart going. He wanted to get that heart
It's
going.
called CPR, you dumb bitch.
Wow.
He was really doing that pushy thing,
And
the
his
push, where
children
they push
walked out
on the
with him.
stomach.
Can you imagine that? So what a great job. Thank you very much, everybody.
He's like, and his children walked out with him. Can you imagine that? Yes, some people's children can stand them. So some people Some people's children do support them, yes. Not under threat of
What do you
losing
mean?
their
What-
inheritance.
also, like, this is what he just says. Like, he doesn't say anything.
He was
And
doing
then
a
his
job.
Children walked out. Can you
He's
imagine
doing
that?
a job.
Yeah, if my dad had a heart attack at a political rally, I wouldn't stay. Yeah, I would also. I can't hardly fathom that. What would I do if my dad was being taken out after having a heart attack? Go with him? Yeah. Holy shit. Could you imagine that?
It's hilarious.
His whole personality is just, you've talked about object permanence a million times, but like that's his whole, he just sees something and then adds words like, oh, I've never seen anything like it, or can you imagine that, or wow, how big, how great. Like he just says what's in front of him and people are like, this guy's brilliant. He's saying nothing. Can't stand my
Josh
dad.
wants
I
us
know
to
it.
give it up. Josh, come up here and talk to me. I miss you. It's been too long, and I'll even let you explain. I promise not to.
What do you want us to
interrupt
give
you.
up, Josh? You don't want us to tease your guy?
I think he
You don't want us
secretly
to-
loves me.
Yeah, you don't want us to tease your guy for
We
saying
don't want us
silly
to
words?
play clips of his words. Shouldn't we get out the good word? We're helping you. We're promoting his speech. 881 people are listening to Trump's speech. Isn't this what he wants? So just picture someone they've saved someone's life. Trump awkwardly does not leave the stage, stands there while someone's getting CPR, then says all that weird stuff. Then says this.
We will institute the powerful death penalty for drug dealers, where each dealer is responsible for the death during their lives of over 500 people or more.
Or more.
Mothers will never again be forced to watch their children
Wait, hold on.
overdosing and
Or more.
So is the
I
death
don't
penalty
know.
just for people with 500 or over?
It's not clear.
Is that the line they're setting? If you're at 490, you're good?
Isn't this an amazing motivational speech with this music? Like, what is, people are like, just watch somebody unalive. Like, I just cannot stress enough what an emergency these people just
Hey,
went
let me-
through. And then,
Let's clear up too. Somebody said, "What's wrong with this?" Okay, well, first of all, I'm
Nothing.
anti-death penalty. But what's really wrong with this is the amount of fucking morons who are sitting here listening to this as if this can happen, as if the president can unilaterally change the federal laws and sentencing laws around like drug dealers. He can't do that. What's wrong with this is that it's just him, Donald Trump, pretending he's tough. Like, and Republicans eat that shit up. They love when somebody talks tough, but the reality is he can't do that. He's just saying things that he thinks makes him sound tough. And it's also not making any sense. It appears that he set the line at 500 people, that until you can directly connect that drug dealer to the deaths of 500 people, it's not a death penalty.
yeah, let's listen to it.
We will institute the powerful death penalty for drug dealers, where each dealer is responsible for the death during their lives of over 500 people or more.
Or more.
Mothers will never.
It doesn't make any sense. And you're right, he has no power to do that. But that would require, like, that's the key with this audience. They have no idea what the rules of the government are, what can happen, what can't happen. That's why we're saying Trump's a fascist, because he's yelling he's going to do a lot of things that would require shirking the Constitution and many other types of rules of law.
That's what I would ask the big blocks and the Joshes and those who like don't like this criticism. What's he actually campaigning on? The stuff, like Felice said, what he's campaigning on would require a fascist takeover. So stop for a second if you can. If you can step out of like the Trumpness.
Tap the screen,
and
guys.
think like, leave aside, like, do I agree with what he's saying? Think about how would he accomplish this? What would it require in order for this to be accomplished? What it would require is fascism. And then then you have to say like, okay, I'm cool with fascism. What you guys are doing right now that is confusing and frustrating to us is you're saying we support the fascist who's running on fascism, but we're not fascists. We don't support fascism, but everything this guy is saying he's going to do requires him to be a dictator. That's where we have, like, if you want to argue whether or not the death penalty is appropriate, fine, let's have that discussion. If you want to argue about mandatory minimums, fine, let's have that discussion. But the argument here isn't whether or not that, like, a death penalty for somebody who's apparently caused the unaliving of more than 500 people. The argument here is, how would you do that, Mr. President? It would require you to be a dictator. And then you look around the world and you see who he's cozying up to. He's cozying up to Orban. He cozying up to Putin. Whatever that fucking lunatic in Argentina is. And all three of them that he seems to love, and Xi, they take the law into their own hands. They become dictators. In Argentina, where they are jailing people, again, it's dropped the murder rate, but it has increased. They have more people in jail than any other country. There is no due process with them. We're talking about a president who wants to get rid of due process. That's what we have.
That's bad for us.
If you guys want to campaign on stronger laws, fine. But if you're campaigning on stronger laws due to a fascist dictator, we've got a problem. Because we don't want that. And I don't know why you guys want that. There we go. Jeffrey.
Hey.
Hey.
Oh, a little more energy this morning. Pick it up.
Was good. I'm headed to the gym here soon.
All right, well, get yourself prepared.
Get your
Just
swole on.
sipping on my Monster, you know. And then, I was listening to you and I got triggered.
I did it.
Got a little bit triggered. You did it.
Gotcha.
No, so
I apologize, first of all, for triggering you.
Yeah, man, come on. You can't trigger me right before I'm headed to the gym, dude.
I'm deeply sorry.
Sheesh.
Tell us about what's triggering you this morning, Jeffrey.
No, not a big deal. But when you heard what Trump said about the death penalty being implemented to like drug dealers or whatever, and then you guys kind of went into a tirade about him being a dictator or a fascist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't think that would equal him being. I think what he was referring to was like in 1988. When Reagan signed over, or he signed that legislation about harsher penalties. I think one of them being a death penalty for certain type of like drug trafficking and stuff like that. I just looked it up. It's something like that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right. So you understand that's not a fascist or dictator. It has to go through Congress, and then he has to finally sign it. And all to me that Trump is doing, he's just doing what a good leader does. He's just saying, like, look, this is the direction we're taking the country using Congress. He's not saying he's going to pass a bunch of EOs and do all this,
Well, he
dictator
is,
type
though.
of shit.
Jeff, that's the problem. Now you're making the assumption, right? So if you've read through Project 2025, or if you've watched the Agenda 47 videos, he's actually talking about using executive authority for this. So I understand that he's giving you away, like in the context of what you just heard. I get what you're saying. Like, yeah, he's not specifically in that context saying I'm going to bypass Congress, but he is in Project 2025 and in Agenda 47. Basically, what they're doing is like they're giving the administrative state total control, or they're giving the executive branch total control of the administrative state, removing things like investigations from the FBI and Department of Justice into the administrative state. So that's the idea behind this. Like, he wants to have executive authority over the Department of Justice. That's why
see what
we're
you're
concerned.
saying, but I mean, yeah, and then two things with right. But I mean, specifically about him being a fascist. But I see where you're going with that. I mean, totally. But I don't think Trump is the one even like championing the Project 2025 one. And then
I mean,
two,
he copy and pasted it. He copy and pasted it and put it on his website. He just rebranded Project 2025 and called it Agenda 47. It's the same thing. And those people, for people, like, it's hard to make the argument that Trump isn't going to listen to these people when they're the ones that handpicked all of his judges. They're the ones that are giving him the most money right now. They're the ones paying his legal bills. It's really hard to make the argument that Trump isn't beholden to these people.
Okay. So I see where you're going with it. But for one, then we agree that what he said necessarily about the death penalty wasn't him being a dictator. But now you're talking about Agenda 2024. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
And so you said that the executives now how is it, because I think we all agree that like maybe we should get rid of the FBI and like some of these 3-letter agencies.
I don't agree with that.
Do nothing but perpetuate. No, just think about it, and we can all agree to this. All they do is perpetuate the war machine, do undercover covert shit without the American people even wanting to do this thing, and they have too much power.
Well,
basically,
so I would say that that's not all they do, but generally speaking, those acts that they have committed are generally at the direction of whoever the current administration is, right? Like we've had massive overhaul in the FBI, but like the FBI is also full of almost exclusively right wingers. Right. It's a weird thing for like the right wingers to be going after the FBI right now. But if you do get rid of the FBI, whose job is it going to be if we get a rogue president? Who's going to investigate the president if we get rid of the Department of Justice and the FBI? Let's say Biden wins. He gets rid of the FBI and the Department of Justice, and then he just goes rogue and he starts manipulating elections. He goes in through the Food and Drug Administration and he starts approving a bunch of drugs that can hurt people. Like, who's going to investigate him? Congress?
I mean, there's committees in Congress. There's a lot of different ways.
Do you trust Congress to investigate?
And as you know, wait, hang on, let me finish the sentence. So it's not like, look, I'm sure if you take away one thing, we have to implement something else more useful and more useful, right? In the terms of like being being ethical, right?
Is Trump advocating for a replacement? Is he telling you what he's going to replace the FBI with?
Replace the FBI? I don't think he said get rid of them completely. Just like get rid of the key head figures, right? I don't know. You know more. I'm not.
Well, as far as the CIA goes, like what we saw was that like just if Trump stops using the CIA, which I'm citing Andrew Bustamante, who's like a former CIA agent who I was listening to talk about this, like Trump very much did stop using the CIA. He just used other private security firms. Like when he did that coup in Venezuela, they were just outside security firms. He stopped trusting the CIA, but there's always going to be a private security firm, whoever it may be, doing work for the president.
And Trump has called, this is from April of 2023, he called on Congress to defund the Department of Justice and the FBI. So he wants both gone. So what's the replacement?
Well, just like that's like what I'm saying. Defunding the police is like getting rid of them, right? We know that's not really what defunding is. So the same goes to the defunding of the FBI, right? And like you said, like I think you just answered the question. Like there's other now look, the president has to have power, right? He has to be able to do things to protect using the executive branch, such as take out terrorists, stuff like that. Sure. We agree to that. Sure. But so, I mean, of course, then there has to be a limit on that. And so that's all that it is, right? But we're just proposing that the limit be not just against like election interference when it comes down to elections, such as what the FBI has done and all the shit that they got caught up in with Crossfire Hurricane and all that stuff that.
Wait, what was it? What did they get caught up with in Cross? Yeah, they didn't get caught up in Crossfire Hurricane.
Yeah, they basically got admonished. And
they made them. But hold on,
people not
Jeff, hold on, real
them.
fast. Let's be honest about Crossfire Hurricane. Durham investigated Crossfire Hurricane, and at the end of that, what he concluded was that there should be no actions taken. He didn't advocate any changes. He just said that like certain protocols weren't followed according to him. And that's true. Like it is true that there were protocols that were missed, but he concluded that there was so little that was wrong that he wasn't even advocating any change. See, we've completely smeared the FBI just because we have to protect Donald Trump. But even Durham, who's like in Trump's pocket and who was assigned by Trump, and Republicans all across this country want to use the Durham report as proof of something. He said, I don't advocate for any changes. There were no crimes here. Like we could I think that they maybe took their policy and stretched it a bit, but that's it. That's basically all Durham said. We're talking about
Right, and that's
fundamentally
all-
removing the investigative arm of the Department of Justice. Why? Because they investigated Trump. That's the only thing anybody's able to point to me. Like that's the only thing anybody's been able to point at.
The American look, we can agree to this, that a huge part of the American people is these. We're just
Breaking up, Jeff.
guys control half. We control half. You know. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I gotta get closer to my Wi-Fi. Is that better? Fuck.
Yeah, that's better.
Hang on, one sec. Sorry about that.
Guys, tap the screen. Tap
Do you guys have an
Jay's
echo now?
face. No,
No,
we're
it's good.
Yeah. Anyway, so regardless of the exact details of what happened, what I'm saying is the people are disenfranchised. Something has to change. Same with the police, right? I agree that maybe some.
But the
police,
people are disenfranchised because they've been lied to. Like, that's the thing. It's not a good argument to say a lot of people believe this when they've been lied to. And the guy that is lying to them is the one they want to vote for. Do you understand, like, the precedent that sets, that as you run for president, you can just lie to the American people. And if enough people lie to you, then you think you have a precedent to change something. Right? Show me what the FBI did to Donald Trump that they shouldn't have done. Show me something that they've done that they shouldn't have done.
Yeah, they opened a full-fledged investigation into his campaign, basically effectively smearing him in the public. And of course, all the legacy media.
And there were 34
right?
indictments came from that.
Look, all that they want to hear, all that the media wants to hear is that
there were Jeff, there were 34
Trump.
Jeff, there were 34 indictments. Explain to me how this was unwarranted when there were 34 indictments.
Yeah, exactly. All the more making his campaign look even worse. It was just a hit job on his campaign.
So now we need to protect the but Jeff, they did it. They pled guilty. They committed the crime.
They did. Okay. And
it's not a smear,
where
Jeff.
are
Just
they
because
today?
he surrounded himself with dog shit people who were connected to Russia and put them in his campaign, and then they got caught. Like, you think that the media has an obligation to make sure that Trump looks clean there?
Brother, the indictments weren't even like the indictments implicating that they're Russian assets or they're doing anything. They were just like lying, indictments about what like lying.
No,
or
that's not true.
perjury or
If you talk about Michael Flynn, so Michael Flynn worked for Hillary Clinton, right? Michael Flynn had deep connections to Russia, and people inside that worked with Hillary, when they found out about that, they reported that to Obama, and Obama's like, okay, we got to watch this guy because he's getting checks from Russia over and over and over again, and nobody knows why he's getting this money. He's deeply connected to Russia. So then when Trump wins and goes into office, Obama, who has taken this information from Hillary's State Department, warns Donald Trump, hey, watch this Michael Flynn guy. He's working with Russia. You want to be careful. And what did Trump immediately do? Make him one of his key campaign advisors. Our FBI, our Justice Department was aware before Donald Trump hired Michael Flynn that he was a problem, and they warned him. And Trump hired him anyways. And then was like, you know who else we should get? Paul Manafort. Paul Manafort, who everybody else also knew was working with Russia. Trump specifically put people that everybody knew was working with Russia on his staff. And then you're going to tell me, like, we shouldn't investigate that?
Wait, so why? Okay, what was his motive for doing that then? Because I completely, what I'm saying is like
he wanted Russia's help. He said it. He said it on the campaign stage. Russia. If you're listening, where's that server? Steve Bannon was working with Russia through Cambridge Analytica. Trump wanted Russia's help. That's why. That's why he put these people on his staff so Russia would help him.
Okay. Slow down a little bit here. Okay, so you do understand that, like, it is a game of chess. Okay, I know you're going to hate this. Okay, I'm not going to say Trump is playing 4D chess. That's not what I'm saying. I would say his opponents are very smart, right? And they're also moving major pieces on this chessboard, right? So In a way, right?
Like
what
what?
they were trying,
But like what?
I'll tell you. Hang on. The reason, for one, they're like, first, to me personally, it's like a psyop. It's a game of information. So they're like, hey, Trump, you got this guy, Michael Flynn. Give him this bit of information. Let's see what he does. Right? Obviously, if Trump started to get rid of people that were close to him based off of information he's getting from the opposite side, that is gonna make him.
But that's not what. Wait, but hold on, Jeff. That's not what happened.
Let me land
Hold on,
the
Jeff.
plane.
No.
I know
Jeff, he was warned.
Happen.
No.
I get it. You're framing it. Okay, sure. He was. Look, dude. The fact is, information was sent from A to B. Whatever you're framing it as, okay, frame it as.
Well, don't you think it matters when he was
whatever.
given that information? Don't you think that matters to this story that you're telling when he got the information? Because Trump got that information before he hired Flynn, not once he had already hired Flynn. What you're saying makes sense. Like if Trump already had Flynn on his staff, and then you had Hillary's campaign come and be like, "Hey, you want to watch out for this Flynn guy." I agree with you. Like that would be like, all right, well, why would Hillary's staff try and help me out here? I get that, but he was warned beforehand, and again, you could. He can still hire him. That's fine, but don't be upset then when he gets investigated.
So all you're saying is that they were trying not to have Trump hire Flynn. So you're admitting their bias.
There were a lot of things. They wanted to figure out what Flynn was doing.
You just admitted, hang on, RGB, let's say, you just admitted that the timing is everything. The timing happened to be before he was hired. So they fed Trump this information
before
Trump
was a candidate.
So
this was before Trump was a candidate.
You're moving the goalpost in the hopes.
No, I'm not. I'm telling you what happened.
I know.
No. You don't get to stop right here. Before Trump was ever a candidate, they were aware that Michael Flynn was a problem. So let's just get the timeline right. You can't change it and then be like, timeline's important.
Yeah, no, again, you're the one that mentioned the importance of the timeline. I'm just using that against you now. Right?
Yeah, but you misrepresented what the timeline was.
The timeline was before. Okay, so wait, when did they feed Trump this information?
So when Trump won the nomination and he met with Obama, Obama told him this. And so did James Comey.
Perfect. So when did he hire Flynn? Just directly after that, almost, right? Like nearly
Michael Flynn was part of his administration.
Wait,
Michael Flynn. Yeah, Michael Flynn was part of Trump's administration, but Michael Flynn had been working on the campaign previous to that as well.
Right. And they knew he was going to hire a person for that position, right? So why wouldn't they? So you're saying that this isn't making sense, because what you're saying is they're warning Trump about Michael Flynn.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're okay. So why would
because they were worried about national security. They weren't worried about Trump. They were worried about having somebody in an administration that had deep ties to Russia. It wasn't really about Trump. It was about national security concerns. This was I don't remember, a 2-star or 3-star general, somebody with high security clearance, and they're not sure if they can trust him with information. They're worried that information is going to get back to Russia.
Yeah, we know Russia. But now, what was Trump's reasoning behind? Well, dude, I mean, let's face it. You guys played the same fiddle, the same tune every day. It's like, are you still falling for it? But anyway,
falling for what? Falling for what?
For the Russia.
Yeah, 34 people were indicted. People within Trump's campaign worked with Russia. It's true.
Dude, that doesn't automatically mean you're phrasing the way you're framing it, like that you can work with Russia for an assortment of reasons and you can still run politically or do whatever.
No, you
Guess
can't.
What? Russia is
not if you're not registered as a foreign agent, and not if you're reporting those communications.
What you do. RGB, you use scare tactics against Russia, and you know what? This is hang on. This is a microcosm of why people hate Russia so much and think that they're 100% the bad guy. Right? And that's just silly. Like, if you think that it's just Russia's the big bad wolf, and like,
they invaded another country within the last year. They're trying to take over a sovereign country. Yeah, they're the bad guys. Yep.
Hang on. You could say that you could go down that rabbit hole, but let's finish what we were talking about.
Rabbit hole? Jeff, they invaded another country. How can you pretend that's not awful?
Hang on. Look, you can frame it that way and try to make me look like the bad guy for not wanting to go down this route right now. But what I'm saying is that what was Trump's response to why did he? So he had the information, right? Now, what did Trump say? Why did he hire him? Because obviously he's like, oh yeah, I
We
agree.
don't know. He's never
He's a
told us.
Russian asset. Let me put. So what? So you're just arguing from ignorance. What I'm saying is, I'm giving you a
No,
reason.
I'm not. Wait,
I'm
hold on.
giving you a reason. It's because he knew that.
Jeff, you don't
Michael
know.
Flynn, hang on. He knew. What? I'm giving you a reason.
Jeff,
Tell me
neither
I'm wrong.
you nor I knows why Trump hired him because Trump hasn't told us.
He did tell, dude. I'm sure that there's you really don't know that there was an explanation.
Well,
of
what-
this.
Well, wait, let Jeff.
Always
Let's
gives
let.
an
I want to hear
explanation.
what is the explanation, Jeff.
I don't know, but I'm not the one that brought this to the head right now, but I'm sure if I looked into it, he's going to give an explanation. The guy's not going to just, because guess what? If you're silent on the matter, people are just going to think that you did it. So why would Trump do that? He's way too smart for that. Like, come on. That makes no sense.
It's kind of weird because Trump wasn't really ever honest about Flynn. In fact, when he first fired him, he first said that what was the first reason he said he fired him? I'm trying to remember.
Fired him? What do you mean?
Trump fired Flynn.
I wasn't aware of that. Let me
Yeah,
see.
he fired him after he got caught lying to the FBI and lying to Mike Pence.
Okay. So he distanced himself. I didn't know. No, I don't
No,
think he
fired,
But
not
didn't he-
distanced.
Right,
Fired,
right.
and then came out publicly and said, I had to fire General Flynn because he lied to the vice president and the FBI. He has pled guilty to those lies. It is a shame because his actions during the transition were lawful. There was nothing to hide.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, that makes sense. He's going to distance himself from people. That's what a smart person does. Like, because it doesn't mean, look, just because he's on their cabinet or in his office doesn't mean he's culpable of that same crime. Like you can.
I've never accused. Wait, but do you think that I'm accusing Trump of a crime here?
No, of course not. Not you, but it's the way that you guys frame your arguments and your rhetoric and your propaganda as if he's complicit, right?
Jeff, you know what I think? Honestly, I just as somebody who followed this story from the start and who has read Mueller's charging documents and has who's read what Mueller was supposed to investigate, he was charged to investigate any and all connections between the Trump campaign and Russia. And then shortly thereafter, Donald Trump started going on stage every day and started talking about Russian collusion. He was the person who started saying Russian collusion. That was Trump. That's not even what was being investigated. Collusion is not a crime. They were just investigating any and all connections between his campaign and Russia, and they found a lot of them.
Donald
Trump turned himself into a martyr here. If you look at the Mueller report, if you read the Mueller report, it does not exonerate Trump, but it doesn't specifically say that Trump committed a crime either. The 34 indictments, none of those had Trump's name on them. So, I've actually reported it accurately that Donald Trump was never accused of or convicted of anything regarding Russia and his campaign, but people within his campaign were. The only people that consistently talk about Trump-Russia collusion are Republicans. The people on the left were telling the story correctly. Trump is the one that started the Russian collusion thing. That was him.
Dude.
He started saying that. I promise you, he's the one that started saying that.
Okay, no. What about what's his name? Not Chuck Schumer, but
Adam Schiff. I know you're
Shifty Schiff. Yes, Mr. and who got called out on CNN for being not credible, right? As soon as he came out and started spewing that bit about the Steele dossier, all the legacy media, and we can look at at that time, they all came out and were spewing the same exact thing about Trump and his cabinet colluding with Russia. And they were saying it, right? Look,
they did.
Yeah, sure, the FBI
They did.
Wait, hang on. All that they have to do, right, is leave them the breadcrumbs, and guess what? The legacy media just does all the rest.
Wait, but they did.
Right?
They pled guilty.
Without corroboration,
Jeff, they pled guilty.
Yes.
So what are you talking about then? How is Adam Schiff a problem here for pointing out that Republicans who worked on the Trump campaign pled guilty to working with Russia? How do Cambridge Analytica, who Steve Bannon sat on the board with, was working with Russia? Trump is on stage saying, Russia, if you're listening, find Hillary's emails. I don't know how you can look at what happened and even for 1 second not believe that Trump's team worked with Russia repeatedly.
Listen, why did you skip ahead in the timeline? I'm talking about when Trump was initially president and they first were launching the investigations and talking about the Steele dossier, and that first came out under the media, right? They were dogging him out, saying he was basically guilty of Russia collusion. And that's what
they weren't saying
and
that.
now hang on. And now that Trump has been essentially nothing tying him to it, yeah, we haven't forgotten about it. That's why we're still talking about it. We're like, dude, look, we remember what you guys did. So yes, now you hear
what
us
did we do
about Russia.
Jeff, you don't remember.
What did you guys do? You guys did everything. You want to start at the beginning?
Jeffrey.
Yeah. Sorry.
Robert Mueller, registered Republican. Robert Mueller's team, mostly Republican. Wait, hold on, I'm not done.
Sorry.
They were charged to investigate a crime. It does not matter what anybody in the press said. Stop saying what we did. Mueller investigated connections between Russia and the Trump team, and he found a lot. That's the truth of what happened. You are spinning a narrative that somehow we did something bad against Trump. We didn't. We didn't do anything. Robert Mueller, a Republican, a lifelong Republican, investigated Donald Trump, and by the way, didn't charge Donald Trump with anything. You guys are complaining that we did what? He got charged with nothing. How is that an attack on Donald Trump? Charged with nothing.
Look. It was a massive attack on Donald Trump in the sense that the FBI, all that they did was they took this thing, right? This collusion, this whatever, and they ran with it, right?
And they got 34 indictments.
Hang on, all to make Trump look a certain way.
No, see, that's you narrativizing.
Using Russia.
Prove that.
Right?
Prove that's what it was for.
Hang on. And then it led into the next thing were the two impeachments, right?
No. You don't get to make that leap.
Right?
Jeff, we'll go one by one. I know, Jeff.
Here comes the charges, right?
Hold on,
yes.
Jeff, hold on. Now you're
look, I'm just trying to paint a big picture for you guys.
I know you're trying to write a narrative and it's too loosely based. So first I need you to explain to me, like, with Donald Trump, with this investigation into Russia, was Donald Trump charged with anything?
No.
So how was it an attack on Donald Trump? Hold on. Not the impeachments, just this investigation. How was this investigation an attack on Donald Trump?
Yes, because the legacy media went ahead and turned around.
The investigation,
and ran with
not the media, the media.
Yes, this is how they leverage.
I'm asking about the investigation. I'm asking about the investigation.
The investigation led into what the media framed as Russia collusion without the facts.
So is that the fault of the investigation?
No, not necessarily. Okay. Yeah,
gotcha. So the investigation, then we agree. The investigation was fine then. We agree on that. The investigation was fine. No, not
necessarily. Like,
okay, what was wrong with the investigation?
It was based off of like the Steele dossier, which was not corroborated. That was a huge part of it. And
no, it was Jeff. Jeff, if you remember, Jeff,
let me finish. You're not letting me finish.
No, Jeff, hold on. If you remember, during congressional testimony, they talked about the FISA warrant, and they were asked. The person who granted the FISA warrant was asked, did the Steele dossier play a large role in granting the FISA document? He said no. They said, without the Steele dossier, would you have still granted the FISA warrant? Yes, was the answer. This is a narrative. This is a lie that you guys are being told.
Wait, were they under oath?
Because you don't understand that the Steele dossier was nothing more than opposition research. But no, it was not the catalyst for getting the FISA warrant. It wasn't.
No, I get it. I'm not saying that, right? The catalyst was
exactly what you said.
Debunked emails and dumb shit like that. Was that person talking about the FISA warrant? Were they under oath?
Yes.
They were? Okay. I mean, that's a little, I mean, you know what, but I mean, let's face it, like people being under oath these days, you know what, if you're a Democrat, it doesn't mean much. Like you could just lie your ass off.
But right? Jeff, don't you see how silly that is for you to take, again, Republicans, and everything has to be a conspiracy. Like whatever you don't like, you're just like, oh, they were probably lying. Nobody would ever get a FISA warrant for opposition research. The Steele dossier was never meant to be factual. Nobody ever viewed it as factual. It was never supposed to be that way. In fact, the only people that have ever claimed that the FISA warrant was factual are Republicans who say that Democrats said it was factual. We didn't. The Steele dossier is simply a list of things that people would use against Donald Trump in an election. So lies, things that are flat out lies, would be included in that Steele dossier. It's opposition research. It's your job to find out what types of smears people were going to use on Donald Trump.
Wait, dude, then why was Shifty Shift coming out and saying that it was corroborated?
Parts of the Steele dossier, because parts of the Steele dossier were corroborated.
You're trying to downplay it like, oh, so like, dude, like, let's face it. Like, this is what I'm saying. You guys, they put down the little tiny little breadcrumbs, and then the legacy media, they all unilaterally fucking picked up the rest of the ball and went Russia, Russia, Russia. And then it all tied into the rest of the bigger snowball rolling down the hill. But guess what? The snowball just got crushed and destroyed because it just ran into Trump. He's the big.
No,
he's,
it didn't.
he's shining
34
brighter
people
than
got indicted.
The sun right now. He's melting your guys' snow.
30,
and you guys are triggered.
34 people got indicted in a case that was never targeting Donald Trump. See, you guys,
That's
now
great.
you guys are pretending that something happened that didn't.
They couldn't
Hold on,
even indict Trump.
Jeff, yes.
They couldn't
Jeff,
even find, dude, they
Jeff,
couldn't even find something
Jeff,
on the person
Jeff,
they wanted to find
Jeff,
the dirt on.
Jeffrey.
You know why?
Jeffrey,
Because Trump
Jeffrey,
is clean.
Jeffrey,
Yes.
Jeffrey. Nobody
He's
was
clean.
ever. Jeff.
Sorry.
The investigation wasn't into Donald Trump. This is a narrative that you guys have
I
now
know.
hold on. This is a narrative that you guys have now spun so that you can paint Trump as a winner. Here's the truth. Trump hired a bunch of fucking criminals, and those criminals got indicted. And you guys have spun that into Donald Trump is innocent. No, Donald Trump hires shitty people, and he should have known better. He should have known, just like everybody else, that they were working with Russia, but he embraced that. He didn't care. And Donald Trump did not commit a crime with this Russia investigation. That's true. But don't stop spinning it like it was this investigation into Donald Trump. This is what Republicans do to your brain. They show people in Donald Trump's vicinity, people that he hired, getting arrested, lying to the FBI, and they spin it as a win for Donald Trump. No, he hired bad people.
Wait, so hang on.
That's the only conclusion.
If they couldn't have found dirt on Trump with the FISA warrant and all that BS, like they wouldn't have brought
the investigation.
If they would have caught Trump on the phone, freaking making deals or some shit like that, you don't think they would have leveraged that?
Of course they would have, but they.
Well, there you go. They couldn't find anything on him.
They weren't.
And trust me, they wanted to. Do you not think they wanted to find something on Trump? Answer.
I don't know because
dude,
Jeff,
now you're being disingenuous. Guys, answer the question. See how he's like, I'm
trying to answer the question, Jeff.
It's a yes or no. It's a yes or no.
It's an
I just asked you a yes or no question.
It's not a yes or no question. Am I allowed to answer questions the way I want to answer them, Jeff?
No, you have to answer them the way
Jeff,
because
I miss this, guys. Isn't this just like old times?
You're not going to dominatrix me, buddy.
Jeff,
I asked the questions around here.
Jeffrey. Neither you nor I are in the brain of Robert Mueller. Neither you.
Look at this. Look at this.
Be quiet. Be quiet.
You're not answering the question.
Jeffrey, I'm answering the question, but I need to explain it to you.
You're obfuscating.
Because Jeff, neither you nor I knows what Robert Mueller wanted. By the way, again, solid Republican his entire life. Do I think that he wanted to find crimes on Donald Trump? I don't know. And I don't care. I don't care what anybody's motivation going into an investigation is. Even if he did want to find crimes against Donald Trump, he was not sent to find crimes that Donald Trump did. He was sent to find any and all connections between Russia and the Trump campaign. And he did that. And he found crimes, actual crimes. And what you guys do is you're showing an administration that was full of criminals and you're spinning it as if Donald Trump is innocent. That's fucking insane. He filled his own cabinet with criminals, and you guys are like, well, you couldn't catch him, so he's innocent. Okay. Yeah, maybe he didn't commit a crime, but he hired criminals. And that's what the Mueller investigation found. And you can't find a single clip of me ever saying Donald Trump should have been arrested or Donald Trump should have been charged for Russian collusion. You will never find a clip of that, and I post my replays every single day.
Okay, great. Can I respond? You went for 45 seconds, okay? So here, guys, here, everybody, this is what RTP's doing. I asked him a simple question. I said, if they would have found dirt on Trump, do you think they would have used it against him? And he gave us a 45-second speech.
Wait, that's not what you asked.
Right?
Wait,
and
that's
you
not what you asked.
obfuscated into. Hang on.
Wait.
That's exactly what I asked.
No,
Okay,
you
wanna
said,
answer now?
do you think they wanted to find crimes? Do you think they wanted to find crimes that Donald Trump committed? That's the question you
Oh,
asked.
okay. Do you?
I said I don't know, but I don't care.
No, you don't think that they were looking for crimes that Trump committed?
I don't know, but I don't care.
Okay,
It's
see,
not
guys.
relevant.
Okay, wait. Let me finish. Now let me. Okay, I got it. Now that's your answer. Fine, guys. That is because he knows exactly what I'm talking about, and he knows if he answers yes.
No, I don't know.
That's gonna,
no,
wait,
no, no.
Don't interrupt.
You don't know,
Come on, you're
and I don't
interrupting.
know because we're
Guys,
not
look,
Robert Mueller.
Here's the thing, RTP. This is what you do to people, and I'm doing the same thing
Tell
that you
the
do
truth?
to people. No, listen, guys. This is what RTP is trying to do right now. He's being disingenuous because he knows if he answers yes, it's obviously going to prove my point, right?
Jeff,
the reason they open up
you
these
can't answer
investigations,
yes or no
guys,
to
I
this
can't even talk
question
for
if you
45
don't know
seconds
the
straight.
answer.
Wait, no, hang on.
You know
Just
the
let
answer,
Jeff. Yeah, no, Jeff, go ahead. Let him say his thing.
So, okay, yeah, maybe you could say you don't know the answer, right? And maybe you're right, but let's face it. The people on the right, the people that have been watching what's been going on, and even a lot of people on the left, actually a lot of people on the left are coming over to the right because of this. They see the pattern, right? They see the pattern of corruption against Trump. And why do you think Trump is getting so much more popular now? Right?
He's not. He's getting less
Do you think it's
popular.
normal? Hang on. Do you think it's normal? Here's the question. When a president gets indicted that they gain more popularity?
He didn't.
And it's never happened before.
So you don't think his indictments have gained him a popularity?
No.
No. Okay. Well, you're wrong.
His
about
approval
that.
rating is hovering right around the same. He just
it's
lost DC. He just lost DC in an election,
DC?
like in a GOP primary where he's just going to win. He's
just lost-
losing traction in his own party.
Wait. He's losing track. Okay. So what's happening right now, though? He's killing it, he's killing it right now for the Republicans.
But Nikki Haley's numbers are getting better.
Let me answer. Jeff, can I answer your question?
Opponents.
Jeff,
And he's
can I answer the
he's
question?
actually ahead of Biden in a lot of the polls too.
Jeff, let me answer the
Look at that.
question. Let me answer your question. So this is the thing. The reason that I would say we're never going to know what Robert Mueller's intentions were is because he's such a diehard Republican. I mean, he is a Republican. So to say was Robert Mueller a diehard Republican? Did he want to find something on Trump? I mean, I don't think we can know that just for that reason, but I do know that any investigation, right? Like when you don't find something, you should say you don't find it, right? It shouldn't just end up in a railroading. And I think that was the point. It was about finding connections between Trump's campaign, right, and Russia. And if that did not include direct ties to Donald Trump, then I applaud Mueller for not trying to railroad someone. When the evidence isn't there, don't force it. Like we're seeing with the Biden crime family investigation. Like, would you say we're forcing it, Jeff, in that case? Are we forcing it?
Wait, are you talking about the
Like a
impeachment?
direct link to Joe Biden?
I doubt it. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Like, let's just be real. You guys are like,
Where there's smoke, there's no smoke. Where's the smoke?
So for chat, where's the smoke? Like, look, if I sit here and explain to you what the smoke is, you can't take the smoke.
Jeff,
You're gonna have to get out of the kitchen, dude.
Jeff,
I'm holding. Hang on,
smoke,
look at this.
The smoke here, Jeff. The smoke would be any money that Joe Biden benefited from. $0.00 is what they've tied back to Joe Biden now.
Yeah. Okay. Who's
And they're only two witnesses. They're only witnesses now that I haven't recanted their story. One of them is being held by the FBI for lying, and the other guy has been caught lying about virtually everything. And both of them say they get their information directly from Russia. So, like, this is one of the most embarrassing investigations I've ever seen in my life.
Maybe
Republicans are out. Republicans are on the record like, yeah, we'll never get this through. We'll never get the votes for this.
Hang on, but but you know what? It doesn't make him look good for the election, though.
Well, I know, because you guys.
How
love
does it
to smear.
feel?
Like,
Wait,
How does
but
it
Jeff,
feel?
that's what I'm saying, Jeff. Like,
does it
if so,
feel?
that's what I'm saying. Is what's good for the goose get good for the gander? Because you're up here saying, well, you guys are trying to make it seem, or to be fair, you said the legacy media, right, kind of took this Russia, and ran with it, whether there's evidence or not. But now you're saying, right, like good. You're glad the same thing is happening again. If you don't
No,
want it
not.
to happen
I'm not
once,
saying. No, I think it's bad. Look, if they don't have the proof and everything like that, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of money, right? But you guys are really that surprised? Look at what you did to Trump during his presidency. You did it twice in a row. You impeached him twice in a row. Like, come on, man. Like, impeach a man once and then just be done.
There was evidence.
Like, move on.
There was
to
evidence for both. But Jeff, there was evidence for both of those. There's zero evidence against Joe Biden. That's
exactly. So convenient. It's so convenient. I know.
Yeah, it is
the screen,
convenient,
guys. Let's get to
is convenient
200K.
for us.
Sorry, Biden's never committed any crimes. Only Trump. Like,
We've never seen one. What crime do you think he committed?
Someday you just
what crime
have to,
did he commit?
You
Jeff?
have to pull your head
What
out
crime
of the
did he
sand.
commit, Jeff?
You got to pull your head out
What
of the
crime
sand.
did he commit, Jeff?
Anyway, dude, I gotta.
What
I
crime
was
did he
on way
commit?
too long. I do have to go. I'm not
What
running.
crime did he commit? Just before you
gotta
go,
hit the
tell us.
tip.
Before you go, just tell us what crime Joe Biden committed.
Yeah, influence peddling.
That's not
probably
a crime.
He sexual assault Tara Reid. The way he touches little kids. I don't know. It's sketchy. I don't know.
So
Who
you
knows?
don't have any?
All right, gotta go.
Man, missed you, Jeff.
Guys, he is a criminal. Trust me. No, it is good seeing you guys though, for real.
You did a great job.
You do have a great golf swing though. You got great calves, man. You gotta show them bad boys off more often.
It always gets
appreciate
weirder.
I know,
Don't
right?
be a stranger, Jeffrey.
All right, guys, have a good one. Love you all.
See you, dude.
Bye.
That's good. Got my heart racing. I feel like I got my steps in and haven't moved.
Yeah. Look, I don't. This is what sucks about MAGA. Honestly, is that it is just this. It's become this tit for tat thing, and the tit for tat is crazy.
Yeah, he pulls up Tara Reid. Yes, someone who defected to Russia, but doesn't want to talk about Russia. It is very ironic.
It's amazing how many people who come out against Biden are just completely backed by Russia. It's crazy. It sucks. Like I to some extent, like I have some empathy for the MAGA folks who believe that Trump was innocent through all his impeachment hearings. But then they say things like this. Like then they say things like, "Oh, well, this is what you get." Well, there was plenty of evidence. Like with Donald Trump, it came down to how did you interpret the evidence? Did you interpret it as, when it came to Ukraine, did you interpret it as a threat? Did you think he had the right to do it? Even if you didn't interpret any of it as a threat, he still held funds longer than he was allowed to. He still did break the rules. We can't even see evidence that Joe Biden broke a single rule. Like at the very least, Donald Trump didn't hand over funds that he was obligated to hand over to Ukraine. At the very least, that's what he did. And then you can argue from then on, like whether or not he used that for leverage, which I think he did, but I get it. Like it's a hard case to prove, and if you want to stay on the Trump train and say that didn't happen, fine. But at the very least, he did something wrong.
Yeah, and at the very least, I mean, the people who are the primary building blocks of an investigation that still cannot in any way connect Joe Biden to Hunter Biden or the rest of the Biden family, like, is by, and not by my saying this, by the testimony of the whistleblowers, they were given that information by their Russian handlers. So, I mean, you can, like, they draw the lines, not us. Like,
I think you have
his
a clip.
testimony.
I think you have a clip of a prominent Republican agreeing with us here on the Biden impeachment and what a joke it is, don't you?
Oh, which one are you talking about? Are you talking about Joe
Tommy.
Scarborough?
I'm talking about Tommy. Lauren.
Oh yeah. Do you want
You
to?
always say Lauren, which I like.
Lauren.
I like that about you. I think it's Lauren though.
Lauren. Sorry. Well, let me find it. I know what clip you're talking about. I just have to locate it. Yeah, I think I found it. I love how I know where hundreds of clips.
Both sides have been spinning this, obviously, and if this other... both
This
sides
one?
have been spinning this, obviously, and if this other televised hearing comes about, I can just imagine the ratings. But Jim Comer says the deposition was successful. They were able to prove several bits of our evidence. That's a quote from the congressman. But the question the mainstream media keep asking is, where's the proof that Joe Biden got a dime?
Yeah, and that's going to be the difficult part for Republicans. And I got to say, as somebody who does believe there's plenty of evidence here, I think that this has failed optically for Republicans, and they've done good work. Obviously, Jim Jordan, Comer have done great work on this, but optically, it does make it seem as though they're beating up on someone with addiction issues. That's exactly what the media wanted it to look like. That's how they framed it. And unfortunately, that's what's coming to fruition. So I would encourage Republicans, I know you want to get to the bottom of this, but let's focus on the election. Let's focus on the failed policies of Joe Biden. This impeachment inquiry, unfortunately, is falling flat with a lot of viewers and voters.
Tommy and I.
And for her, like Trump's number one simp, even when Trump attacks her, she still backs him. Is like, because she's not smart, right? Is what I'll say about her. Like, she's not smart, right? She is pretty smart, and she's saying, like, this is driving the campaign into the ground. We need to stop.
I do appreciate in order to tell the truth when you're a right winger, the way that you have to
still
tell
lie.
the truth.
Yeah, you got to still lie.
They do it with election. She's like, look, there's no proof that's been able to time to this crime, even though I believe there's a lot of proof. It's like, okay, wait, how can there be?
Well, you got to say
proof?
that, or you'll be disowned.
Yeah.
Or you'll be dragged on Truth Social a couple hours later.
You hear with the election too. They're like the election. The election wasn't. I agree that he didn't lose, or that he lost the election, but there was so much evidence of election interference. Hey, somebody, Gorilla, listen. You keep saying 9-0 like it's a win for you. Felice and I played that hearing, and we all agreed that the Supreme Court would rule that he could stay on the ballot. So
tap the screen, guys. We're almost to 200K. Also, we are still accepting donations through this Cash App, Venmo, tip jar for PayPal in Jay's link tree as well. And we will periodically read out the F Mary Banish or whatever funny little messages or dad jokes you guys send as well. Keep tapping the screen. Let's get to 200K. God, it's already noon. Time flies when you're arguing with Jeffrey. So, see, that's good. Let's keep tapping, guys. Work out those fingers.
Just so we're clear, what the Supreme Court ruled in this case is that Republicans were not allowed to remove Donald Trump from the ballot. Like, I think you should be mad at, if you're going to do the 9-0 and you're going to be like, haha, sucks for you guys. Like, I don't know who you're talking to. We didn't bring the case. That wasn't Democrats bringing that case. It was Republicans. Yeah, so I don't know who you're ha-haing at, but your party's in disarray.
Yeah,
Republicans are like, we don't want this guy.
But also, more importantly, we all said, and I said this morning, girl, so I'm going to assume you first got here, or you don't listen when I speak. It's one or the other. But we all said, the day we listened to these oral arguments, we said, it's going to be unanimous. Like, that was our literal conversation, was that even the Ketanji Brown Jackson, even Kagan, they're not arguing that Donald Trump's not an insurrectionist. They're arguing that in the case of someone running for a federal position, a federal candidate, one state cannot decide whether or not that candidate can or cannot be on the ballot. And they're saying, and whose job it is to decide is specifically the Supreme Court. Congress. But Ketanji Brown Jackson and Kagan are saying, and what their opinion says, is that the Supreme Court has done too much. They did too much with Dobbs, and they want to be careful to not do too much here. They believe Congress needs to use legislation to invoke Article 3.
Short leash, you can talk to Felice.
Hello.
Hi.
It's been awesome watching you guys backtrack. Watching you lose to Jeff HVAC is awesome.
I forgot that you love Jeff this much. This is how I met you. The first time I met you, Gorilla, this is what you did to me. Actually, no, remember you screamed at me because you said I was mean to Jeff?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, remember?
Yeah, well,
God, time flies. It's like we're in a time machine. Go ahead.
You guys try to compare me to Jeff, and it's like, no, come on. We're two different people. I don't even know where he's been. He disappeared, came back, disappeared.
Well, you can take that up with Jeff after the live, but go ahead again. Tell me. Go ahead. Take your victory. What is it again?
It is a victory. There's so many more victories to come. It's awesome. I can't wait to watch you guys backtrack on all of these, especially when they do tie money back to Biden, which they will. He is the big guy, 10% to the big guy.
I'd bet you $500 that they don't, but we all
dude,
know
I'm
you don't
done
pay your
betting
bets.
you.
You'd be like, oh, no, there's a loophole. Everything's corrupt. You
I
wouldn't.
thought
pay
I
that
was
bet
talking
anyways.
to Felice on a short leash.
Yeah, and then I jumped in because I wanted to talk shit to you.
Just for the record, want to note how nice I'm being.
Listen, thank you. But listen to what you guys have talked about in the past about this whole Colorado, Maine, these three
What did we
states.
say?
Oh, you guys, this is you
What did we say?
argued. You argued that he's an insurrectionist and that absolutely
Gorilla, you weren't
he's a
listening when I was
Confederate
talking
soldier,
again.
basically.
Gorilla, I just said it. The Supreme Court decision, and it's only 13 pages. If there ever was one you can get through, it's this one. It's
Why did I
13
find
pages.
one that's 20 pages?
Well, yeah, but the decision, anyways, you'll work through that once you read. You'll figure the answer to that out. But you can get through it. And the point is of the decision, the main thing you need to know is the decision has nothing to do with whether or not Trump's an insurrectionist.
Hey, can you take the L or not? I mean, come on, guys. Take the L.
Did you hear what she just said?
You
You
lost.
didn't listen.
What she just repeat what she just said.
It doesn't matter because what
No,
you
it
guys are
doesn't matter.
saying.
No, wait, shut up. What did she just say?
That we knew this was going to be a 9-0 victory.
No, that's not what she
No,
just said.
that's not
Does
what
she
I
need to
said.
say it again and
I
you're going to
said-
listen this
Gorilla,
time?
I was answering to what you said about the insurrection. I said that what this ruling doesn't adjudicate in any way is whether or not Donald Trump committed insurrection.
Yeah, I know. I saw that.
Okay. Okay. So
But you just said that we like we're backtracking because we said he's an insurrectionist and the Supreme Court's ruled. No, you just said they ruled 9-0.
Look,
just said that we're backtracking and the Supreme Court ruled against us. Can
Because
we
our
agree now that they didn't?
Listen, I
No,
reposted.
can we agree now that they didn't?
Listen, I reposted a
listen,
video
got it.
of a newsmaker.
Here, I asked you a question. I didn't ask for.
I know, I'm
story.
answering it. I reposted
Well,
a video of a newsmaker saying the exact same thing that you guys just said today, that this does not rule that he isn't an insurrectionist. I have a video
Correct.
on my profile that says the exact same thing. So you don't get to take that now as your victory trophy and walk around proudly.
We
You
haven't
guys
ever
lost
said that.
for
Real
months.
Radio, we never said that. We've never. If you were here at the beginning of this today, what
I
we
wasn't.
said. In fact, Felice and I text earlier. I was like, "Hey, look, do we want to play this decision? It looks like a decision is going to come out." We're like, "No, we know what it's going to be." We already knew what it was. Like in the court, and we knew that the court wasn't going to rule that he could be removed from the ballot. So it was like, yeah, there's no
That's
use.
such bullshit. So you guys secretly talked about we knew what this was going to be. Isn't that convenient? It's so convenient that you guys privately talked to each other and said, oh, we know what this is going to be. How are we going to play this? Give me a break, dude.
What?
People in your cult
What the fuck are you
members-
talking about?
Listen,
You think it's weird that you think it's weird that Felice and I plan out our show?
No, that's not what I'm saying. Wow, the English language is hard for you.
No, because, well, let me try this again, Guerrilla Radio. The decision was coming out. It was going to be announced while we were live. And what we were trying to decide is, were we going to play somebody else's live stream while they announced the decision? And we decided, no, we already know what it is. It's not going to be any benefit for us to play somebody else's opinion on why this decision happened. We can read it ourselves. That's what I just said.
Look, hold on. Look, Nostradamus. For months, your cult members have listened to you talk about how Trump was going to be off the ballot.
No, we
Now,
never
all
said
of a
that. Not
sudden-
one single time. Every one of our replays is posted. Not one single person will ever say that Felice or I predicted Trump would be removed from the ballot. We consistently said he wouldn't. Consistently.
No, bullshit.
And then we played live. We played the oral arguments to the Supreme Court. We
Source.
sat here and played it live, and we're like, yeah, there's no way that they're going to
Source.
remove him from the ballot.
You screen capture everything.
Hey.
You show me.
Go watch
anytime-
it, dummy.
even before
it's on YouTube. Go get me some
guys,
views.
let's stay productive, because I think we can really have a productive conversation. Like, what I liked about the ruling today is that it went against, for once, the conservative justices on the court went against states' rights. Like, states' rights have been used to disenfranchise women, African American voters, things of this nature. So for me, this decision that said, hey, you can't take, a state can't determine who's on it doesn't go against what is good for me.
See, and this is what I talk to Tony. Tony and I text each other sometimes, and this is what I said to him, that the problem with this decision does mean like some kind of national control.
That's right, and I don't think MAGA you get it, but I don't think MAGA does. It's good for me.
But that has my mind twisted because the forefathers wanted the states to have the power.
Exactly.
So it's like, what the fuck now? This is actually a
blow to the states' rights people. Yeah, like her whole argument during the oral arguments was, we have to look at this both ways. You know, in this case, it could be Colorado, but in another case, it could be the South rising again and controlling who's on ballots. Like, Ketanji Brown Trump's lawyer did not make a good argument. Ketanji Brown Jackson picked up the ball where he dropped it and carried it to the end zone and spiked it. Like, after I heard her argument, like, I admit I had never thought about the argument until I heard Kagan and LBJ make it. That was when I felt differently about it. But so it's a double-edged sword for both people, right? Because like Ketanji Brown Jackson and Kagan are saying Dobbs was an overstep. Like, women, look at what the Supreme Court has done with the Dobbs decision. They overstepped into your lives. Here, we don't want to overstep. And so they drew that comparison, which I very much now see that point of view and in a way respect it. I also do. Yeah. So it's an issue because, like, you got it exactly right. States' rights people, you know, 2A advocates should be a little bit like, ugh, like, it's a little bit bad for states' rights. But
because how far can this go on any issue then? Really?
Exactly. I think, and the way it's framed, and it looks like it's framed, this is probably unique to 14th Amendment Section 3 and how it will be legislated. They're saying Congress needs to legislate that.
Well, and you know,
2/3 vote.
Obviously, the next big decision is going to be the immunity, and then what? How's that gonna
Well, you're gonna come back up here and scream at us.
You're gonna come misrepresent our views again and say that,
dude, you guys know we've talked about this, that you guys totally argued that it was okay for Colorado to do this because Trump's an insurrectionist, and you know he isn't.
You believe in states' rights. You believe.
We did argue that it was okay for Colorado to do that, and this is how our system works. Right, you go from the court to court and ultimately to the Supreme Court, and they make the ruling according to Colorado's law, and they're bound by their law. This was admissible, and the Supreme Court ruled that law was not correct. Now, their court doesn't rule that. They are bound by the laws and their state constitution. So what we always had here, was a difference between the federal powers and individual state constitutions. We talked about this even this morning too, in that, like, this now creates a sticky situation where states maybe are going to be challenged on their rules for ballot access. States have different rules for ballot access depending on signatures or donations or public polling, and every state is different. If we're ruling now that it has to be uniform, this could cause other issues. Like, this is the thing, Gorilla. You're so desperate for us to be wrong that, like, we could have good conversations if you would just not come up and pretend that we're having a different one. Because Lisa and I have been consistent on this one. If you want to argue about real policies, I would love to. I would love to debate real policies with you. But what I don't want to debate all the time is you coming up, like, again, every one of these lives is recorded. Everybody in our audience knows that we never once said that that the Supreme Court was going to rule that Trump could be removed from the ballot. And especially after hearing the arguments, we both live said there's no fucking way they're removing him from the ballot.
Why can't you take your L with dignity? I don't understand this.
An L for what?
Because you guys have argued that it was okay for Colorado to do this. Now but they weren't using their state law. They were using the federal law, the Section 314 deal.
What they ruled is that they were allowed to interpret that because they controlled the ballot access.
But okay, so take it to a simplistic form.
Okay.
An insurrection is a takeover of the government. Who was president on January 6th?
Trump.
So he's taking over the government when he's president.
Do you think that if you hold on. Do you think that if you are the president and a current president that you cannot commit insurrection?
Do you think that he did a coup upon himself?
No. I'm asking. No.
I'm asking you. Did he coup himself?
Guerrilla Radio. I just asked you a question. I just asked you a question, my friend. If we're gonna have a good faith conversation, let's do it.
Are you saying that because he's
tap the screen, guys?
Are you saying that because he's the president, he can't engage in an insurrection?
Well, I'm saying that he did a coup d'état on himself. How ridiculous!
No. It clearly wasn't on himself. What was it for? Why did people go to the Capitol? Why did they go to the Capitol? The people that were there, why were they there?
He wanted Pence to give him the 10. Well, they were there because of the women group that did the rally and invited Trump to speak. That's why he was there, and that's why they were there.
What were they angry about? Why did they go? Why did the people that went and tried to into the halls of Congress? What were they trying to stop? Let's not be silly here. Let's just be honest. What were they trying to stop?
Stop the steal.
And now we know, looking back at the evidence, so they were trying to stop the steals, like a dumb way they put it. I think we both agree. But what they were really trying to do is delay it so that they would go back to the states. And the states, now we know, the states had fake sets of electors that they were going to try and push through already. Now, do you think that setting up fake electors, let's just say it's like, I'm not saying that you have to agree that it's true, but let's say in a hypothetical world, we'll use Joe Biden. Joe Biden does this exact thing, and he has in 5 states, he has these fake set of electors. States he didn't win, there's no evidence that he won. He gets it sent back to the state, and then the state, because the legislature is imbalanced, votes to use the alternate slate of electors. Is that not an insurrection to set fake set of electors?
Yeah, man, I don't know about that.
Because really, all of these people, Donald Trump, everybody in Congress, they swear a pledge and their loyalty to what? The Constitution, right?
Yeah.
So if you are doing things that bypass the Constitution, if you are trying to trick the Constitution into you staying in power, and you're doing it, that's what this RICO case in Georgia is all about. If you do that, are you telling me that if this was true, and I understand that you don't think Donald Trump did that, but if he did everything he's accused of, you wouldn't agree that that's an insurrection?
No, I believe, here's what I think.
What would you call it instead?
Nobody's charged with insurrection.
I know. So, I agree with you. I know. I'm saying,
let me just make one point. You guys, in the ruling, the statement of fact is that there's an insurrection. The Supreme Court, it was an insurrection. The Supreme Court did not overturn that. They did not make another ruling. It is a statement of fact in this ruling that there was an insurrection. They're not disputing that. They're just disputing the way it needs to be handled, which is Congress.
They're saying they're not saying that it was an insurrection.
Yes,
it's sedition.
They're not. Listen. Let me explain to you what I'm saying, Gorilla. In the Colorado Supreme Court decision, the statement of fact is in there, and it's defined. It explains how they define insurrection and explains it all. If the Supreme Court disputed that, they have to overturn that statement of fact.
Sure, but don't you think they could overstep their bounds?
Okay, but I'm explaining to you how this works. So, but they didn't. All they said is, we're not disputing that. We're disputing how it needs to be handled, which is through Congress.
Yeah, it's going to have to be decided on Congress now, huh? Now. And again, what I was trying to say is...
it looks like it will be based on this,
Trump wanted the 10-day delay for the states to relook at everything. Pence, as we all know, went and heard from his lawyer that said he didn't have the right to that, even though it is constitutional to have that 10-day delay. And do you think Kamala would do that to Biden? Is that what you're saying?
Can we be clear? When you said Trump wanted those 10 days so the states could look at everything. Of course, you mean the fake set of electors too, right?
Well, and it could be fake news, but I also heard that there was like 3 states.
Would you mind answering that question before you went on to your next thing? You of course are including the fake set of electors, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. Okay,
sure. But I'd also heard, fake news or not, I don't know if I didn't trace down the source, but that 3 states wanted to recall the envelope that Pence had he was turning in, and Pence denied them that, and Georgia was one of them. But I don't have a source for that, so we can just skip that, I guess. But yeah, I saw a video on that, probably on fucking TikTok, that 3 states wanted to recall what they had already
Hi,
said.
Big Block. Sorry, I'm just saying hi to my friend in the comments.
But come on, guys, take the loss. This is a win for us conservatives. Let us have it. And you guys did argue for Colorado.
If you want to be technical, this is a loss for Republicans.
Well, it's a win for
Republicans brought this lawsuit, so Republicans lost this lawsuit.
It's a win.
We were
for
never
the
involved.
country.
We were just watching. We were just watching your party fight with each other.
Dude, RTP. Earlier,
is that not true? Is that true?
Earlier with Jeff, you said that fucking she won DC. Dude, come on.
Well,
really, you're gonna say you can say that with a straight face?
No. What did I say that in response to?
It doesn't matter. I mean,
no, it does matter. Context matters.
Dude, she won.
What was I responding to? Gorilla, let's have a real conversation. If you're going to pick out things that you didn't like what I said, let's get the context right. What was I responding to?
I believe it was popularity, that Trump, anytime he's indicted, anytime something comes up, he gets more popular. Yeah. And that has been the case. And you argued against it and said he lost DC.
So, and
really?
What was my argument against it?
That he isn't getting more popular, right, and that he even lost DC.
Did Nikki Haley do better in Iowa or in New Hampshire than she did in Iowa?
I don't know.
Yes, much better. She was 3rd or 4th in Iowa. What about in South Carolina?
Yeah, but aren't they having?
Wait, let's just go through this real quick. Just listen,
vote?
Just so that you can understand my argument. Let's go through it, and just so that we make sure we're on the same page. Did she get? Now Trump a month during the Iowa caucus. Trump was up. He had like 80% of the vote in South Carolina. So it slipped. Those poll numbers, that 80% turned out to be about 60%. He was way up in New Hampshire. Trump is underperformed. My point is that Donald Trump is not getting more popular. What is happening is Biden is getting less popular. But Donald Trump, when you look at his approval ratings, when you look at inside of his own party across the country, he's not actually getting more popular. That's not what's happening. So when he said every time he gets convicted, he gets more popular, it's not true. In fact, it is the opposite. The nice thing for Donald Trump is that he's running against Joe Biden, and a lot of people have a problem with Joe Biden, and it's specifically about his age, and that's super helpful for Trump. But he himself is not getting more popular.
I believe it was like 6 to 8 months ago, I heard that Trump has 22% of the black vote, the most ever all time.
I don't think that that's true. I saw the poll. I think it's a rough poll. And if you look at all the states where we've had primaries since 2020, I don't think that number seems to play out for MAGA. And now maybe there's a bunch of people who won't vote for other MAGA Republicans but would only vote for Donald Trump. I think you're hanging your hat on like a pretty shoddy poll, and it's an outlier poll. Like most polls don't show 22%. That's a single outlier poll, and I think you're hanging your hat on bad information.
Maybe. I just looked up a Pew Research, and the headline is "Little Change in Americans' Views of Trump Over the Past Year."
I love that you look things up.
So when you say, like, now do you recognize that when I spoke to HVAC, I was just speaking factually? That's it. I'm right. He was wrong. Yeah, Trump's not getting more popular, right?
Okay,
well then how about you take your L now?
I'm doing a yeah, but hold on.
Yeah. Well, how about you're so desperate to make me take an L that you misrepresent what I say. Then we agree that I was right, and you're like, I still can't say that you were right.
Well, the yeah, but is that there's so many polls. How good are they? Are they just calling landlines?
Tap the screen.
No,
yeah. We have a big problem with polling in America, for
we
sure.
Do.
I'm going to be honest. I think you got railroaded this weekend. I don't remember who it was, but people said that the polls were all on landlines. That's not true. I get called for polls every single day.
I get texts.
Yeah, in those ones, they don't usually post, but if you are on a voter registration list, they'll call your cell phone because then they can verify that you are a registered voter. So for certain polls that works. A lot of old school polls, they'll only call landlines because those are attached to like a human's name. But I would say this, like, you can look at the polls in 2020, Trump underperformed the polls. You can look at 2022, Republicans underperformed the polls. 2023 underperformed the polls. I'm not somebody who wants to say all polls are wrong, and I don't even think the polls are biased. I just think that the people who take polls are more conservative. I think the people that answer their phone and take a poll are likely to be more conservative.
Well,
and so those polls come out, and I agree that I don't think that they're changing the data. But dude, if you're looking at these elections, like at some point, are there just a bunch of people who won't vote for other MAGA Republicans, but they'll vote for Trump?
Yeah, I mean,
better hope so.
Answer this. Is this fake news? But are Democrats registering as Republicans and then voting for Nikki?
In some of the states, you don't have to register as Republican. So some of these states are open primaries, meaning you can vote. Like if you're a Democrat, you can vote in the Republican primary, but you won't be able to vote in the Democrat. You can just vote in one. In Arizona, for example, like you have to register. So I'm a registered Republican because in my district, I'm not going to be able to vote for a Democrat in the primary that really matters. Like I basically stay registered as a Republican to vote against Andy Biggs. So yeah, it does happen, but some states have open primaries where it doesn't matter your registration, you can vote in one of the primaries.
So then how can we look at these elections and say, oh, Nikki won X amount in Iowa, X amount in New Hampshire?
Good question.
Exit polls, they ask how they identify.
Okay.
Yes. So like in DC, she got, I think 64% of her voters were registered Democrats. So she won, but 64% of her voters were registered Democrats. That's true. But what we're seeing with Nikki Haley, and this is the part that the MAGA base, maybe they understand, maybe they don't. Nikki Haley is showing us the protest vote, the middle vote. The independents are going sharply in Nikki Haley's way. Obviously the Democrats are going her way, and then some Republicans, like moderate Republicans, in order for Trump to reverse what happened in 2020, he has to win back moderate Republicans who voted for Biden. He has to win back independents, and he's going to have to switch some Democrats over. I've seen no polling data at all that says he's doing either of those three things.
I disagree.
In fact, the polling data looks exact. Well, if we're just looking at elections,
I think he does the same thing he did last time, but win a swing state or two.
Yeah, but how? So in Arizona, he's got to win back Republicans. Do you think Republicans in Arizona, like, what has he done to win back Republicans? He's bankrupted our GOP. He's cost our state millions of dollars fighting bullshit litigation. He's backing Kari Lake, who's wildly unpopular. Like, who's going to vote for him that didn't vote for him in 2020?
Oh, so you don't think that the Lake incident is going to help in Arizona?
Honestly, I think Trump is behind that. The guy that was bribing the guy that was bribing Kari Lake is a Trump lackey.
Yeah,
he works directly for Trump. Kari Lake hurts Trump.
Corruption, and she outed it. So she's the savior. She's the sheriff in that scenario, and that's going to look good on them, even though the guy doing the bribing is a Republican.
Corley, it's not a good thing what Kari Lake did. It's not a good thing among Republicans because now
playing that video shows so much.
Well, let me just explain to you from Donald Trump's standpoint. Like, he can never trust her again. What Donald Trump's problem has been since he, like, as it turns out, as we now know, as all these indictments had come out, not Democrats, having nothing to do with Democrats, every time Trump was speaking, somebody was recording him. right? It
Yeah,
turns out there's
yeah.
all of these tapes, and you better
Including the
believe if he
Secret
becomes
Service.
president again, no one is ever getting a recording device near him again. But what Carrie Lake is showing is that in politics, there's a social contract that every time you're alone with her, she's probably been recording you. Nobody can trust her. No Republicans. And Republicans need to be able to trust each other because they're doing a lot of things that require trust. And so I would say this is a bad look. And you don't live in Arizona, so you don't know. But like, if anything, Carrie Lake hurt Donald Trump here.
Yeah, but in the video, she sings his praises and that, no, Trump needs me. Now's not the time for me to sit out and yada, yada. I would think that Trump would like her after this.
Why do you
Not the fact that she's recording everything. He's
Well,
recorded constantly anyway, right? The whole nuclear secrets to the Australian. It's like, how are people just... The dude needs to assume he's always under surveillance at this point because you can hear papers ruffling, you know?
Excuse me. We don't know the whole story, but here's some key facts that I think, like, to me, give me an indication of where Trump's at on this. Number one, the guy bribing Carrie Lake is somebody who is historically shown to just be like, I do what's best for Trump. Like, whatever's best for Trump, I do. He doesn't seem, there's on paper, he has no history of going rogue against Trump. Two, Trump has never addressed this. He's never once spoken out about a bribe to Carrie Lake. Now, if he really thought this was rhinos, wouldn't he be talking? Donald Trump will go after Mitt Romney for his niece just existing, right? Donald Trump never misses an opportunity to go after rhinos. Why has he not said not a single
And
word
Ronna
about
defended him and did crimes for it, but he still went after her.
Trump hasn't even mentioned this, not one bit. If like Felice said, being in Arizona, like, there is a strong contingent of McCain conservatives. Carrie Lake hurts Republicans in Arizona. She is not good for the Republican Party, and she's not good for the top of the ticket in Trump. She doesn't drive turnout in the right direction. She only drives turnout in the people that were already going to vote, and then people who hate her, who maybe were on the fence, and they're going to show up and vote. And the people voting against her are also going to vote against Trump.
So
I think that all the Republicans wanted Carrie Lake off the ballot, including Donald Trump. And there's plenty of reporting with anonymous sources long before this that said Trump was not happy with Carrie Lake. Now, we can choose to believe him or not, but the evidence is overwhelming that everybody wants Carrie Lake gone. They might all be lies, but the evidence, what we do know...
I would agree, because remember, he backed out of that Arizona fundraiser after the allegations of the bribe came up.
Yeah, like that, like the next day. Yes, he was supposed to be in Arizona, backed out at the last minute, didn't say anything, like said he had scheduling conflicts. Like, he very much has purposefully backed away from Carrie Lake.
And the bribe sounds like, I mean, conjecture, but the bribe sounded like it was a pro-globalization reason. That these businesses are what, that's how I took it listening to it. It sounded like Carrie Lake was going to go against, globalization in some way. And they didn't want her in there because of that, because of the money they would make of globalizing something. I don't know. I'm maybe reading too much.
I think that was her, like, assuming that it was, because I don't think he mentioned what companies they could be on the board of. But yeah, look, and also all the Republican ties, all the suits and ties, they're all globalists. They just know that nationalist rhetoric works. Like, all of them, unless they are going to be fascist, like, they understand the need for all of their donors to continue a global economy. They all need that. Their donors would run. Every person who donates to Republicans would run. All these corporations, if they're like, hey, we're not doing business outside the United States anymore.
I sure the fuck want to know who was behind the bribe. Don't you? I mean, this is...
Well, again, ask yourself that question. If it was a rhino, don't you think we'd know by now?
It's either someone for Trump or someone for cinema. Like, just think who stands to benefit from that. Like, they don't want Carrie Lake in the race, so what? Cinema can win again? Like, you have to think about who stands to benefit or not benefit from having her around.
God, it could be anybody. I mean, industry leaders are both parties. I mean, it could be...
Okay, but remember...
Anybody could have got to him.
But,
right?
Well, it could be anybody, but also remember that this is a person deathly loyal to Trump. And this guy also hasn't come out and spoken up. Notice he went quiet too?
Yeah, resigned, and we haven't heard from him since.
Yeah, doesn't this? I'm just saying, like, if we're looking at statistically speaking, who's behind this? Probably the big orange guy.
I don't know.
You think he's above bribes? He paid Stormy Daniel 130 grand.
No,
he's definitely not above bribes.
He's above being part of the mafia. You know that came out that he couldn't be bribed. The mafia couldn't get to him.
Well, I saw that quote, and who knows if it's true, but I did see that.
Quote? Wait, I don't know what we're talking. What is that now?
Oh, the mafia guy that went into witness protection is now doing video podcasts.
You mean Sammy the Bull Gravano?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, he lives in Arizona.
That's why I said
he's another
who knows
person
if it's
living
true.
in Arizona.
Yeah, they couldn't ever get to Trump. He said that. That was shocking.
Well, I know what you're. Stop, Gorilla. No, you're not even talking about I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, he went on Fox and Newsmax or whatever. Yeah.
And to pivot back real quick to that Pew Research I looked up, it said that 63% of Americans have an unfavorable view towards Trump. Now that's a poll that isn't comparing Biden to Trump, so it depends on how you look at it and the questions asked. Obviously, you guys know that, but in that scenario, that is an unfavorable outlook where it's remained the same over the last year, like that agrees with your standpoint, but it doesn't compare a Biden scenario in there, right? There's no connection to Biden, which maybe would show a boost in popularity versus Biden as compared to just a poll on, or is he very favorable to the country, just Trump? You know what I mean?
We have to be honest. Biden is relying wholly on people voting against Trump. That's how he won last time. Nobody was super excited about Biden. Still nobody is. Everybody has different opinions. I do want to backtrack real quick, and I just want to make sure that we have this Sammy the Bull quote correct, because I love how Republicans have spun it, but here's what he really said. It's very hard to fuck with Trump. His jobs are hundreds of $1 million high-rise construction, and they are all union. He has around him ex-FBI agents as security. He came from a wealthy family. He was not self-made. His father was a heavyweight construction guy with a ton of money and a ton of connections with the government, politicians, and the FBI. When you start getting people that connected, fucking with them is not a smart move. Trying to shake them down is not a smart move. Again, this is not about Donald Trump being unshakable when it comes to bribes. It's them saying he's so connected and he's such a he's got government connections and FBI connections, and he comes from deep family money that it's just not a smart move for the mob to try and shake them down.
Yeah, he was explaining how it was his job to shake government officials down and corporate heads of industry and why he wouldn't do it to Trump. That's correct.
And for those saying they're not union jobs, this is from the 1980s. And when most of the construction jobs that even the Trump organization was using were union jobs. So just to be clear, this is from the 1980s.
Yeah, it's still, though, it's kind of a nice thing to hear that you couldn't get to Trump.
That your guy has bribed so many government officials that you can't bribe him?
Well,
you can't shake him down, I mean? He's bribing so many people that they're he's a master at bribing.
I'm sure Trump has, donated to a few campaigns that would help him with his regulations on building skyscrapers and what he knows how to play the game. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, he's a criminal. That's why he just got charged with $400 million in fines, because he's a criminal. That when you say he knows how to play the game, that's what you mean.
All right.
Right?
So let's get this on record, because you're gonna fall short on this one as well. Same thing that I
tap the screen, guys. Let's get to 245K.
You fell short with the Colorado thing. I truly believe that. You can say what you want, but I heard you several times on lives arguing for. You enjoyed the fact that he was pulled off the ballot. Period. Yeah. Now you're going to fall short on this $400 million.
Yeah, but the reason wait, hold on. The reason I enjoyed it is because Republicans were the ones removing him. The reason I was so gleeful is because it was your own party fighting with each other. Your own party sued to get him removed from the ballot. That's what was so funny about it. It wasn't even us. We didn't do shit. In fact, we didn't even try. Democrats weren't even trying to remove Trump from the ballot. It was Republicans. So it was funny.
Well, because we can't. Like, we can't sue because we weren't injured by it because we're not Republicans. Yeah. So it couldn't involve us. So I mean, it's your party's eating itself. But I just want to say, I don't feel personally, because I differ from Jay, being a woman, being part minority, like, I don't feel that states' rights arguments are ever going to be a good thing for me. So in a way, like we said, I think there's two sides to this argument. Like Ketanji Brown Jackson said, like Kagan said, like the Supreme Court has been overstepping, such as with Dobbs. And in this case, they want to be careful not to overstep. And like, I definitely am in line with that. Like, I am beware of states' rights, minority groups.
You know, and I'm kind of with you on that in that, you know, I'm pro-choice. And I used to always believe that, the state should have the power. This is what they wanted. This is what the founding fathers of our country wanted. The states to have the power. Very small government. Get out of our lives. Let the states handle it. But then someone made the argument that it is still a responsibility of the government to protect the people. And the whole Roe v. Wade thing getting tossed back to the states goes against that. So now I've kind of changed my tune on states shouldn't have all the power like this. And the same with this being the federal control of the voting. God, and it's going to come up more and more, I think.
That's right, people in the comments. Yes, Gorilla can make sense when he wants to. That is what's so frustrating about him, is that when he wants, all of a sudden, he'll just start making sense.
Well, let's get it, Felice, let's get it on the record. The level from level 0 to 10. What is your glee level, you and RTP, on the $400 million? Because we need this captured in time for when this gets reversed.
Okay, well, I just want to, like, and you, again, this requires reading, which sometimes you do read. So I think you should read the decision, right? It's because there is, like, someone was on our live talking about, like, just gross amounts of fines and how there's a law against fining people too much. This isn't a fine, right? He took this money. They did mathematical calculations of how much he benefited from the fraud, and now they're disgorging him. They're taking it back. So this isn't just some, like, arbitrary number that someone came up with.
And your glee level is 10?
About what? I think that he injured the people of New York, probably the people or the market in general. This is capitalism, right? You have to protect the free market. So it's not about glee. It's about, if someone does a fraud, they don't get to keep the money.
Yeah, but come on, who has $400 million in cash just liquid? They don't.
Well, he said he did under penalty of perjury. He testified that he did.
We can play that audio for you if you want.
I want a recording of the glee level you guys have on Trump being. Well, come on,
first of all, I don't even know what the fuck that means. But I can tell you this: that when this decision was handed down, I think Felice and I disagreed on this. I said, because it's Donald Trump, I don't see a way that this is reversed. The facts were overwhelming that he did what he did, and now we know his CEO just pled guilty to perjury for lying. Like, one of his material witnesses just pled guilty to perjury for lying about
and his star witness in the Stormy Daniels case just pled guilty to perjury.
Right. So
I don't understand how you guys say this.
At best, what they might do is they may reduce the fine. I could see a scenario where the interest that he's being charged, maybe that will be reversed. I think because of Donald Trump and because he continuously gets preferential treatment, talk about a two-tier justice system. Nobody gets better treatment than Donald Trump. It's likely that somehow they'll figure out a way to knock this fine down, even though, like Felice said, the judge had no choice here. The judge had to use the equation that's given. This was very simple. It was just math. This wasn't an arbitrary number that they threw out there. They looked at the time when he committed the fraud and how much money he made from committing the fraud, and they used that equation. And that's how they came up with this amount.
Yeah, the
So
argument.
maybe it'll get knocked down. Here's the truth about it. I am not happy. I'm not gleeful about this. And the reason is that none of you care. There's nothing at this point. None of these charges against Donald Trump make me happy, because every single time he gets found guilty of something, you guys show up and defend him. And it makes me sad every time, because there's nothing this guy can't do. He can do anything and none of you care. You have, like, he's such an unabashed criminal, and you guys still show up every day defending this man. Honest to God, it's sad. It wears on me. Felice can attest. We talk all the time. Like, by Friday, we're fucking done, because it's like, how many more shitty things can this guy do before you guys stop? You could have a normal person. You could have a non-criminal, and we could have discussions about policies, but we can't even talk about policy under Donald Trump, because we have to spend time talking about all of his crimes all the fucking time. And you guys are like, oh, it's everybody else is out to get him. Well, I tell you what, the Democrats have been after the Republicans, and the Republicans have been after the Democrats my entire life. But this time there's ammunition, and there's a fucking lot of it. And that's why he's getting caught. I agree. Democrats want to take him down just as bad as you guys want to take down Joe Biden. But the difference is, when we conduct investigations, the Democrats, for their side, if you want to call Jack Smith their side, he has provided evidence. He's went to a grand jury. The grand juries have said there's plenty of evidence here for a case. In all the civil cases, he has lost with a jury, except for the one trial where, for whatever reason, his attorney opted not to have a jury. He's losing time and time again, and Biden hasn't lost once. So I do agree that this can be politically motivated, but it doesn't matter if the facts say that he's a criminal, and he is. And you guys keep showing up saying, oh, it's unfair. How about you guys just start admitting that he's a criminal, and start admitting who you are, Guerrilla Radio.
Okay,
you are somebody who supports a criminal.
You
be honest about it.
You might be right. Let me explain.
No, well, I am kind of right, because there's three cases already.
Let me explain
right?
how you might be right in this, and in the defense.
Tap the screen while Gorilla explains.
So as far as the fraud goes, right, the only thing that I could see, and well, let me save that for the end. O'Leary came on TV and eloquently stated how this is how it's done. You pump up what your valuation is on something so that you can get a loan, and this is done on every single big time real estate deal so that you can, it's worth 400, let me have a $200 million loan. This is all legal. This part is not the fraud part. The only fraud part that I could see is the bump up in the square footage, right? But then this is where you might be right, and how we defend Trump, because in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, that's the fraud part. You put 30,000 square foot on a 15,000 square foot apartment or whatever.
Can I ask you just a clarifying question? Because I want to make sure. I heard what Kevin O'Leary said. I think we played it here.
Yeah.
I agree that he said that that's how it's done. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean it's legal.
Well,
you keep saying it's legal. You keep saying it's legal.
The banks are the ones that do the final assessment of the property. It comes down to them ultimately.
Well, so here's the thing that we learned.
It's not on the guy getting the loan. It's on the bank giving the loan.
No, here's what we learned from this case is the simple act of lying on your financial disclosures is a crime, which is why the state is the one that sued Donald Trump and not the bank. The crime that he committed was not even accessing the money. The crime that he committed was forging his financial records, creating fraudulent financial records. That was the crime. So when Kevin O'Leary stands up there and says, oh, this is going to fuck up everybody, this is what we've been doing, this is what we all do, he's admitting to you the same stuff that we all know, is that if you have a lot of money, you get to commit crime. And lucky for Kevin O'Leary, and maybe not lucky now that he's speaking out, Donald Trump probably would have avoided this his whole life, but then he decided to run for president, and then he decided to brag openly on TV about all the crimes that he was committing, all the financial crimes. When they said you paid $0 in taxes, he's like, yeah, that's because I'm smart. And the people that collect the taxes and the people who investigate are like, wait a minute, hold on, let's look at that. And then when they looked into it, turns out he was committing crimes. He put a target on his back, and now him and his supporters are like, I can't believe it. Well, If you're going to commit financial crimes, be like Kevin O'Leary and don't talk about it. Don't go and brag about it.
Well, explain what specifically was the fraudulent financial records that he changed.
Yeah, so first of all, the square footage. There was another thing like Warm Springs or something. I can't even remember what it was. Its true value was between like $3 and $6 million, and he listed it at like $60 million. They were just making up financial records about properties from all over the country. Mar-a-Lago is a great example. What does he tell you, and what has he put on financial records about Mar-a-Lago? That it's worth 100 times. Now he's saying 100 times worth more than what it is. But what he's not telling people on these financial documents is that Mar-a-Lago is zoned as a social club, not a residential property.
Right.
Only the tiny part that, so he lies about the value of Mar-a-Lago as well. You can't do that.
But
whether the banks accept it or not, it's a crime. That's what we learned from this, that you can commit a financial crime and the bank that you commit the crime against can choose not to press charges, and you can still be charged with a crime.
Well, like it or not, properties go up in value if a celebrity owns the property. Like it or not, Donald Trump is a celebrity. So, and he even states himself that he never even put his value on the Trump brand on these evaluations.
Because you can't.
Because it has nothing to do with the value, because it doesn't have anything to do with that.
You can't loan against a brand. Wait, but hold on. Let me explain this real quick. The reason that he put properties on these loans at all, and the reason he was trying to get to that valuation is he needed collateral in order to get favorable terms, and he needed to be worth over $2 billion and maintain a net worth of over $2 billion to get these favorable terms. So including your brand is irrelevant because you can't loan against a brand. It's not something that the bank can collect on should you default on your loan. So that's just how would you collect on how?
Okay, B.B. King's, I'm making this up, B.B. King's childhood home, Kurt Cobain's childhood home, any celebrity's childhood home is worth more money than the actual value of the home in that neighborhood, period.
Fine, but that's already put into the value of the property.
It's baked
that's what
in.
I'm saying.
That's what he's saying he didn't do. He didn't.
He's saying two separate things. You're confused. He's not talking about he's a star, so he didn't factor that in. His brand, what he values the Trump brand as, is separate, and Jay had it right. That you're confused about that.
But even if he didn't, if he's saying this is worse though. If he's saying I didn't include my brand, like the value my brand adds to this property, well then we've got an even bigger problem, because how did you take a property worth 4 to 6 million and value it at 60 million if you're not including your brand? And how did you take Mar-a-Lago and say it's worth 100 times that if you're not including your brand? That's a bigger problem. You're making a good argument for me right now by saying, hey, just so you know, he didn't even include his brand. So wait, then why did he overvalue them by 10, 20, 30x? What was he basing that overvalue on if it wasn't his name?
Mar-a-Lago makes $1 million a year. Do you believe Mar-a-Lago is only worth 18 million?
No.
Just answer that.
No, and that's not what it even said in the. See, you don't even understand the case. So I think it was the assessor's value at the time when Donald Trump committed the crime, which I think was 2013 or 2014, and the assessed value I think was, depending on the valuation, between 18 and like 28 million or something like that. So they took the low end. They took the 18 million. That was what it was worth at that time.
Assessed value is always lower. Look at your house. Go to assessors.com.
That's what I just said. Wait, but they took the assessed value because that's the value that they had.
But that's not.
It doesn't matter. Even if it was worth 30 million, it doesn't really matter.
That's not what it sells for, bro. That's not what it sells.
This isn't about nobody cares about that. That's not what this was about. This was about what he put on his financial documents and what the value was.
Well, before I forget, let me tell you how you may be right and how we defend Trump, because immediately when I think of all this and the square footage thing, immediately my mind says, yeah, but Trump's like the CEO. Does he really do the paperwork? It was some other shill doing this paperwork, not Trump sitting at a desk doing his own evaluations and the square footage of his apartment.
He signed the
I'm gonna give you
documents.
that. I'll give you
The
that.
problem is that he signed the documents. That's the problem.
Sure.
That's the fraud.
Sure,
And
but
also,
did
and
he
also
know
his
the fraud?
CFO. But hold on, also his CFO and his lead attorney have both testified under oath that Donald Trump knew what was on the financial documents. And Donald Trump has bragged before that like he was the mastermind, right? That he knew, he was so smart that he didn't pay taxes. So Donald Trump has an issue here where he's publicly bragged over and over that he knew what he was doing. He knew how to game the system. Then you have his lead attorney who was in on all these deals and his CFO both testifying that he knew everything that was on those documents. So he's got a problem here.
Okay, so let me counter with this, because I've heard you guys argue the same thing. When Trump gets the security briefings, he doesn't pay attention, he doesn't listen, he doesn't read. When they sort through that, and here's the priority in the world, this right here, Trump just fucking doesn't give a shit.
No, I never said that.
all of
I
a
never.
sudden,
What I
they're
don't
in
know
court
what you're
saying he
saying.
knows.
I don't agree to that statement.
Well, I think the problem with your scenario here is it's not analogous. What if you've read the testimony or heard the testimony from Michael Cohen, is Michael Cohen said they would bring these financial disclosures and they would go over them with Trump, and Trump would be like, make that 80 million, make that 30 million. And Donald Trump would tell Michael Cohen, hey, make it worth this amount of money. And then it was Michael Cohen's job to go and redo the document and try and make those numbers work. That's what Michael Cohen has testified to. And there's probably revisions. They can probably back that up. But Michael Cohen said that Donald Trump would tell him, make my property worth this amount of money.
Are you guys prepared? Because I don't think
we're
Trump's
almost
gonna
at
pay-
300K. Sorry, girl.
I don't think Trump's going to pay a dime on the E. Jean Carroll. I don't think he's going to pay a dime on this Jack Smith, the fraudulent shit. I think it's going to be W.
You want to do another $500 bet?
Dude, the Pay-Ninas still happen, bro.
Well, it's because you welched on a bet.
No, I didn't. Not really. I didn't. I can't find the video.
Yeah, I have the evidence. I just can't find it.
Yeah, but no. I'm evoking the Pay-Nina rule to never fucking bet you ever.
All right. Well, so what happens if he pays it? You going to come on here and apologize and vote for Biden? What are you going to do?
Yeah, I would do that.
If Donald Trump, if those judgments are upheld, you're voting for Joe Biden and you'll apologize.
No, fuck, no. I'm not voting for Joe Biden. Are
You're
you
a
kidding
Democrat.
Me? No, no, but I will apologize and say I was wrong.
Well, why would you still vote for him if the Supreme Court rules that he's a criminal too? You're still going to vote for a criminal?
Because I think the courts are corrupt as well. Maybe that's part of my.
It's everyone but
The whole
Trump.
system.
Nobody is. It's all. It's either everyone or
everybody
it's
else.
Donald Trump. And Gorilla, your answer is that it's everyone.
Hey, OJ was let out, right? So anything goes.
We're
after
not
that.
doing OJ.
Yeah, but
I'm just saying.
But that was
Shit ain't
based on
right.
it. That was based on a jury. The juries so far have not been friendly to Donald Trump. I'd like to point that out as well.
Yeah,
The juries have said, "Sorry, you're paying it." So that's not a good analogy either.
Yeah, he's a pompous ass. So people don't like the guy.
He's also he's also a criminal.
I didn't like him until he ran. I didn't like him.
Which is weird because we didn't know he was a criminal so much until he ran. Most of
He's
the bad
also,
stuff
by
we
a
know
jury
about-
of our peers, been found liable of sexually abusing women. I, as a woman, that affects me personally.
I'm staying away.
Weird that you didn't like him at first, but now that you know all the criminality, now you like him.
Now I love the guy.
Yeah. What does that say about your guys' party? Beforehand, in fact, before you guys knew the criminality, he was like number 8 in the GOP. But then he started getting traction and people started being like, look at all this crazy shit he did. And then they're like, fuck yeah, we like that. Suddenly he's at the top of your party, runs for president, tries to overthrow the government, steals a bunch of documents, and then gets caught for financial fraud. And you guys are like, fuck yeah, sign us up. We love this guy now. Didn't used to like him. Now we love him. He's one of us. He's a billionaire who gets to do whatever the fuck he wants. He's one of us.
I live in reality, RTP.
No, you don't.
They say
you don't, sweetheart.
Yeah, they do. They say that every citizen commits 5 felonies every day. So do the math on that.
One of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life.
I have a question, Gorilla. Here's my question. Can you admit like that your love, like, and pretty much what Jay just detailed out, like all the crimes that you admire Donald Trump for, all the things he's either gotten away with or was trying to get away with, all of that stuff. Can you admit that nothing that he has done or nothing you're accusing Joe Biden of doing, Donald Trump hasn't also done?
Please. I don't admire him for crimes that he may not done. I admire him for being a disruptor in the two-party system that we have. That is what I love about him. Yeah,
he's definitely disrupted women's bodies. That's true.
But you mean the Supreme Court did?
When you say disruptor, what you mean, of course, is that he took over office, turned out he was a criminal and a dirtbag. And a lot of people on the left and some on the right were like, this guy sucks. And you guys are like, no, we love him. And now everybody's fighting about it. That's what you mean by disruptor, right? Because virtually everything else stayed the same. All he did was cut taxes. Like a tax cut is a disruptor. Like he's not a disruptor. He's an asshole. And you guys mix that up for him doing something. All he's done is turned you guys into like a bunch of cultish sheep who defend him for anything, literally anything. He hasn't name one thing about this country that Donald Trump fundamentally changed as a disruptor. What did he change?
I think that he's shown the corruption that there is in our country. Him not winning
by being corrupt.
Well, maybe so. Maybe
what corruption did he? What corruption did he expose?
We're almost at 300K.
The fact that they're all going after him for bullshit charges.
Well, it turns out
two impeachments.
Hold on. Who's they? Because we're talking about
the grand juries that said that, they're grand juries.
No, I'm talking about
citizens, American citizens looked at the evidence and said there's enough evidence to proceed with a trial.
The cabal. The
cabal wasn't on the jury, sweetheart. The cabal wasn't there. They weren't there. I checked. I checked. They weren't there. These were a jury of his peers.
This is the problem with you guys and how you run your cult.
No, the problem is I asked you what he exposed, and you're coming up with imaginary groups of people.
No, let me finish.
What did he expose? A group of people, the cabal, so secretive that I can't say their name, but he exposed that.
This is the problem with you running a cult, and you're good at it because you were a Mormon. But the problem is that you guys drill down. Everything is Trump, 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 and you drill down on Trump, but you can't see the 30,000.
What did he expose?
Hold on.
No, thank you. I asked a specific question. You don't get the monologue.
I'm going to answer it.
What did he expose?
My thought.
No, you're just talking about me now. You're talking about me. What did he expose?
My point.
The whole nation knows I'm a cult leader now? That's what he exposed?
No.
Okay, then tell me what he exposed.
No, he's exposing the corruptions.
What corruption?
The Russia, and how they spun that. And everything Jeff said. Everything Jeff said with Russia, Russia. The two impeachments. The E. Jean Carroll case.
What corruption? You're just naming things. Who was corrupt?
You're talking.
No one made Donald Trump sexually abuse a woman. Like that was his own choice.
This is where you guys missed the point.
No, this is where hold on. I asked you to point out corruption, and all you did was show me a bunch of things that Donald Trump has been found guilty for. You didn't point out any corruption. You're just naming things he was guilty of.
That can't be
How is that corruption?
How can that not be corruption?
Because why can't he just be guilty? Why do you have to come up with a conspiracy theory?
Oh, he could be guilty.
Well, of course.
I'm not saying that he couldn't be, I'm saying that he could be.
But your conspiracy theory doesn't make any sense. You can't even tell me who's pulling the levers.
Yeah, because we don't know that.
Yeah, because we don't know. It's just this group of people that is all knowing and they control everything, and we've never heard of them. That's your defense. Understand, Guerrilla Radio. Your defense of Donald Trump is, listen, we understand the evidence, but there's a secret group of people. Nobody knows who they are, where they live, what they do, or how they're controlling the government, but they are, and they're after Donald Trump because those powerful people want communism?
This is the book I'm reading right now. If you want to know who they are, there's Bohemian Grove, there's the Bilderberg Group,
and how did
the Bohemian Grove, is that where what's his name hangs out? The Berkshire Hathaway guy? Is that where Warren Buffett meets?
Is this not a true hotel? Is that not a hotel?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and wait,
The World
hold on, just to be
Economic
clear.
Forum. The World Economic Forum. The Illuminati.
Hold on.
They call it the World
Hold on.
Economic Forum now.
Yeah, you're just guerrilla radio. See what you're doing now? Is you're doing the same thing that all conspiracy theorists and cult members. Again, I was in a cult. I know how this works. What happens is they tell you a story and you believe the story. And when I ask you for evidence, as in who's in charge, you can't answer it. Instead, you showed me a literal piece of propaganda. You can't answer the question yourself. You are relying on pointing at a book for your evidence. If you can't defend your positions with your own words, how strong is your position?
I'm just not getting the specifics of the. So there isn't.
Yeah,
there
I'm
isn't
asking for specifics, and you don't know the specifics.
Dude, presidents have spoke about the military.
I'm asking you who is taking down Donald Trump.
People that are way more popular than me and way more successful.
Who's taking him down?
Called presidents of the United States have spoke about the military-industrial complex. We are a country.
Yeah,
of
you're
war.
not. Hold on.
That's
Wait.
how we
Time
make
out.
money.
Guerrilla radio. Shut up. Hold on. You're not talking about the military-industrial complex. You're talking about the Bilderbergs. That's a different group. So now you've just moved the goalpost to the military-industrial complex, which we all agree exists.
Let me answer.
But those people, the military-industrial complex, would not be anti-Trump. Why would they be anti-Trump? He wants to spend more on the military than any president in history.
Dude,
the military-industrial complex cares about one thing: making money. Donald Trump makes them money. And frankly, so does Joe Biden. It's kind of a win-win for them.
I don't know who the cabal is, dude. It could be
exactly. So that's my question, Guerrilla Radio. Why are you
foreign relations?
Wait, hold on. That's my question.
The Rothschild family.
That's my question, Guerrilla. Listen, be quiet. That's my question. The original question was, why do you forsake all the evidence and the stuff that we can confirm and choose to believe in a group that you don't know whether or not exists? And that group that you don't know if they exist, for some reason
that group
you can't articulate, wants to bring down Trump.
Dude, the Bilderberg group does exist. They do meet.
No,
powerful people.
No, you said the cabal. Are they the cabal?
Yeah, but the cabal I'm using as a general term for
who's the cabal?
I don't know that.
Okay, powerful so who's bringing down Trump?
It could be them. It could be them.
Or see this.
It could be Soros.
Okay, but here's the question: Why do you think you're more willing to believe a story about people that may or may not exist that you can't name, but the evidence in front of your face, a jury of their peers, judges' rulings, you're not willing to believe the stuff that's happening right under your nose and that you can read, but you are okay believing that there's this group of there's a dark group of people? Do you think it's possible?
How are you so naive?
Do you think it's possible that the reason you're willing to believe these stories is because you are terrified of being wrong? You think that's possible? Because I've never heard you admit that you were wrong.
No.
And that's what it feels like to me. It feels like you bought into this and now you're...
See, but let me talk for a second. Jesus Christ.
I did let you talk.
Like I could be wrong, but there's a lot of evidence out there that there are these secret groups out there. Some secret, some not so secret.
There's evidence. Let me ask you a question. There's evidence that they exist. We agree. I'm asking you for the evidence that they do something. I need the evidence that they do something.
Yes or no? Can juries be corrupt?
No, we're not going back to that. I need you to answer the question. You can't just point to a group and say this group exists. I'm asking you how they're pulling the strings. You're making a claim that these groups that do exist are working together in a cabal to take down Donald Trump. I'm not asking you to tell me if the group exists. I'm asking you to show me how they're pulling the levers.
No, I'm saying that the corruption could be caused by these.
Can you please answer my question?
Yeah.
Can you please answer the question?
Yeah, but you're asking
how are these people pulling the levers?
How you're trying to nail me to the cross on a specific narrative.
Yeah, I think that's a fair question. If you said these people are controlling the government and I say how, is that not a fair question?
Money.
Okay, so who's giving the money?
I don't see, dude. This is bigger than me.
Why don't you? don't you think you should know the answers to these questions before you
Soros,
believe
for
it?
one.
You believe this. This is your belief, not mine.
Can I ask a question?
No, it's still a could be.
Well, I
I'm
have a
not
question.
set on it, but it seems like there is a hidden. Here's the thing. Why do you guys drill down on Trump and his corruption, but you can't drill down on your own people? Why are all these people worth millions of dollars? Our politicians, the Pelosi's, the Bidens. How he was the poorest guy.
Hey, we've
He
seen
ran
every
the
financial
campaign.
record there ever was with Joe Biden. They have combed through for years and years. He's been investigated. What do you mean? What do you mean?
How is he a
I'm open.
multi-millionaire,
Hey,
Philippe?
Gorilla, if there,
How is
this
Philippe-
is the thing. Let me just answer about corruption,
insane
and
that you guys
financial
are so
documents.
naive to
Hey,
corruption.
when you do,
Except
when you
when
use,
it's Trump.
I'm going to say it again, girl. I've said this before. When you commit crimes over the wires, right? That's how the federal government has a 98% conviction rate. There are paper trails, right? Financial crimes you can't get away with because they're paper trails that can be followed, right? And if they were there, we would have found them. But I agree. I hate nepotism. I'm tired of the 1%, not being held accountable. But what I need to see is the paper trail. Show me the evidence and I will help you bury anybody who there's evidence against. Gold Bar Bob Menendez is vile. He needs to go.
You nailed it with nepotism. That's a big way they do the corruption. They put their children on the boards of the Smithsonian or in these other countries. They're on the boards of these businesses and then give favorable decisions to them.
So
that is corruption. That is what Trump is out. That's what he's showing us.
Listen, it's not a
You
crime.
can say that he's showing us with his own family,
my friend,
with his own son-in-law.
Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah,
him being a criminal is
That's
what you
my
like.
earlier point. I said, can you see that whatever you're saying he's exposing or showing us, he is also guilty of that? I asked you that earlier.
Yeah, I mean, he's showing us corruption, and so I'm right. I proved my point. Let's
Yeah,
focus
that's what
on,
that. No,
let's
that was the
drill down
question.
on-
That we
Okay,
asked.
Grilla, so then
Wait,
can we
that
agree
was the
he
question
showed
we
us and we
asked.
can move on from him as a candidate? If we
What-
all agree to move on from Joe Biden, can you move on from Trump? Because you guys won't let him go. You are in a cult that involves a cult of personality. You
He's
guys
such-
won't let him go.
He's such a disruptor. It's beautiful to me when I'm the guy that's so sick and tired of the political speak of our politicians, no matter left or right, when you ask them a fucking question, and this has been my whole adult life and previous, where they never even answer the question. They're so smart and so polished, and that's what's great about Trump, because he isn't polished. What he said,
Yeah, he just
a
lies.
bull, a bar, a Baghdadi died like a dog. That's
Wait, but
what
he
I want.
also.
I want
Wait, but
that.
he also. Wait, hold on. You're comparing when Osama bin Laden was taken out.
Yeah.
Barack Obama didn't sugarcoat that. He said it differently. So that's a dumb comparison. But I'd ask you
No,
this:
it's not. I
Donald
love
Trump just lies, right? You're saying I don't like how politicians just kind of dance around and don't give me
they
a
all
solid
lie,
answer.
right?
What I really want is somebody who will lie right to my face.
They all lie. Get away from your cult for a second. And
I'm
admit
asking.
all
No,
politicians
no,
lie.
no,
Do
no, no, they
politicians
don't.
lie?
No, they don't all lie. No,
Okay,
they don't.
are some of them polished enough to never even answer the question to get away
Yes.
from the lie?
Yes, and I would prefer
And
that
that's
over
why Trump's awesome.
And I would prefer that over the guy who lies right
And
to my
I don't,
face
and I have
then
my
gets
opinion.
people like you to show up and defend his lies.
No, that's my opinion. I love it. I love this. I revel
Well, I know,
in
but
this shit. It's
I think
awesome.
it's I don't know if you just weren't loved. It's like you want to be hated. You relish being hated. So you take this
Dude, I
side with
have
Donald
so
Trump.
many- I have
you
a
take
good
this
personality,
side with Donald
dude.
Trump.
I have
What?
so many friends. It's unbelievable. I have a great personality. Most people only have one best friend. I have 3 best friends in a group of dozens that we golf with. We love each other. We go golfing all the time. It's awesome. And it doesn't even matter their political party. So my personality, come on. I was in sales. I was a presidential award winner. I've spoke with people my whole life. I did
care.
tech support calls. I know I'm doing bullshit conversation.
that
I'm just-
doesn't-
And
that doesn't mean that you're
you
not
were a
sad
respiratory
person.
therapist too.
And a respiratory therapist, and a surveyor in the military, and an engineer at Gateway, and a
But I
salesman.
said you're
at
sad. I've worked in all those industries, and they're full of sad people masking their sadness with outward signs. Like Felice worked in the tech world. I worked in sales my whole life. Everybody buys shit to make themselves feel better because the job itself sucks your soul.
You're saying I'm hated, and I'm saying I'm not. I'm not saying you're hated. I'm not hated. You're
Gorilla,
trying to
I
say
don't
that I'm
hate you at all.
It's fucked up though. Yeah, but he's saying that.
Oh my!
Why do you like to
Shut
be hated?
up! No, this isn't your pity party time. It's silly. That's like me saying I'm not hated.
It's not a pity party, dude. I laugh.
Listen,
I have
Gorilla,
fun
I'll
on
say this.
TikTok.
Gorilla, it's because what Donald Trump is doing, like there are groups of people like myself as a woman or a minority or pansexual, like part of the LGBTQ, that whose rights are, don't have equal rights. All we're saying is we don't want you to lose your rights, Gorilla, but I would also like to have the same rights. And like you have a unique position where none of this affects you. And so like people are in the trenches taking grenades. So I would say, Gorilla, I'm like, cause honestly, you're a good guy, whatever, but you just have to understand, like if people have ire towards you, if people are angry, it's because we're all suffering and you have a unique position to kind of sit up from a bird's eye view. It's not affecting in you. And you're just like, I revel in all of this.
Yeah.
Like I just want my rights.
I can agree with you on that. And why is because I prioritize a couple things, and that is the border and corruption. I put that above all other things as far as women's rights and everything. I think that the corruption actually is more important than the
So vote for
border.
Joe Biden. So vote for Joe Biden, since he is actually actively trying to fix the border, and not the guy that says let's not do shit until next year.
I disagree with you on that. I think that the bill.
Is Donald Trump planning on making any changes until next year?
I think there's big problems with that bill.
Is Donald Trump planning on making any changes next year? Or is he advocating to wait for him to be in office?
I don't know because
you don't know.
Because he is that way, right? He wants the political win, obviously.
Okay, then we agree. So then what are you arguing for? So
Which
now
is
you're saying
why-
the most important things for me are exposing corruption by being corrupt and the border, who my guy's not going to do a fucking thing about. The other guy's trying to do something. The two most important things on my end, my guy's worse at, so I'm going to vote for him.
Well,
Get the fuck out of here. It makes no sense.
You're
just in a cult and you just love him. It doesn't make your stance makes no sense. You say you care about corruption, so you choose the most corrupt candidate. You say you care about the border, so you pick the guy who's not going to fix the fucking border. You're in a cult. I don't want to hear it from you anymore. And I'm not even going to give you last word. I'm going to bounce you because you don't make any sense, and we're out of time.
Time flies when you're having fun. Bye, Gorilla. I really would like to point out what a great job I did being civil.
That was all me. I'd had enough. I'm not going to hear it. Like, I've heard it a million times. I don't need to hear people just lie to me.
But listen, I fully understand deeply what you are saying.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Deeply.
We'll be back tomorrow morning and every morning, 8:30 a.m. to noon Pacific Standard Time. Let me check real quick just to see if anybody...
Guys, Wednesday, Jay has a debate at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time against Mother of Dragons. It's here on TikTok.
Let me read a
remind
couple
you
things.
tomorrow.
Jamie says, thank you for being our leader. I appreciate that. Kool-Aid is in the mail. It'll be there shortly.
Kool-Aid is in the mail.
Stacy said, Gorilla, pay Nina. And Amber said, hi, it's Eugene's niece again. Trump absolutely knew Jeannie. He's just a liar. Also, Gorilla can get fucked. Okay, thanks. Those weren't my words. I would never use such language. Guys, RTP versus Mod, Wednesday, 6 p.m. I don't know if she's hosting or I am. I'm going to probably push for me to host and just give Jesse access, just because I think we have a little bit bigger imprint on lives. But it'll be either on mine or hers. I don't care, because we're going to give Jesse control. So that's that. We'll see you guys in the morning. Did I miss anything?
No. Great show. Bye, guys.
Thanks, everyone. See ya.